Really enjoyed it, guys. Okay, stand by.
Hello everybody, I'm James Auld and welcome back to the British Rental Kart Championship. We've had the first round of heats for this event and we're now going into round two. Crucially, round two is on a slightly alternate layout. What they do is they change the layout slightly, just provides that little bit of a mix-up. Now we've seen all the drivers compete in their opening heat race. We're now going to see them all compete in their second heat race. Now the way the matrix works for the working out who's in what race, nobody should tackle the same driver twice, theoretically, and that seems to be the case again this year. So there are a number of heats which we may feel are a bit stronger than others, and we'll certainly be picking those ones out that we're really looking forward to. However, looking into the first heat race, we've got the 6 times British champion Ruben Boutens. Although he's a Dutchman who lives in Holland, he does all the European events, and he's going to be in action in this opening race, as are a whole bunch of other favourites. We're going to work through those in a second, and then we'll be getting this first heat race underway. Slightly different track, so look out for the karts going a little bit different way to what they were before. So let's have a look. I'm ably joined here by Jamie Henderson, who's actually competing in this event. Jamie, your first heat race, very, very quickly. How did you feel it went for you?
Can't say that on air, can I? No, it was okay. Pace not so good. Qualifying was very, very poor, and then the race picked it up, but picked it up a little bit too late. But enjoying it, really, really good fun.
Okay, cool. Now, just going through the entries on the second heat race, we've got well, we've got them getting into the karts now. But if we look at this, you know, obviously we've got Greg Smith, Adrian Zajewski, Marcel Hollink, Ruben Boutens, you know, twice world champion and 6 times British champion. Lucas Sullivan, we've seen him earlier on. Obviously Chris Powell, Cambridge, Callum Conway, Phil Pratt, Adam Preston, Mitch Powell. Now, really in that one, it's hard to look beyond Ruben Boutens, and he does need all those points after that third place finish, which, I mean, I'd be delighted with, but he'll be disappointed with.
Yeah, same here. I'd be happy with third as well. No, the interesting dynamic here with Ruben is that we've never been in a position where we've been heading into his second race and he's really needed a result, whereas this time, after that, third place finish in his first heat, he really does need a result if he wants to keep that momentum going, because the important thing is the guy in the final with the most points gets that first choice of kart, which when you're talking a couple of tenths right at the end of the competition is really important.
Yeah, the physical and the mental aspect, they're going to believe it, aren't they? You know, that's the key thing. So with Ruben Boutens there, obviously he would have to be the given favourite going into this. However, beyond that, it gets pretty open, this first heat race, doesn't it? I mean, could you rule out Greg Smith? What about Adrian Zajewski? What about Marcel Hollink? I mean, we saw him, what, 4th place, wasn't it, earlier on? And he had a problem in the pits, if I remember right, as well. And some star performances here. Maybe Adam Preston, maybe Callum Conway, you know? Could be a dark horse.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of drivers there you wouldn't want to rule out. And I don't want to offend anyone by forgetting to mention anyone, but Lucas Sullivan's got pace as well. If I had to pick one right now going off that list, I'd say Zajewski's probably got the best chance causing an upset, maybe, but we shall have to wait and see. Yeah,
well, he was in the semi-final last year, so obviously Adrian Zajewski, the Polish driver, we know is going to be quite strong. We're looking out the window now. They're going to get ready. In fact, they are ready in kart to head on out to the first qualifying of this round 2, the alternate layout. So stick with us. We've got some big action coming up. So there they are, all lined up in the pit lane, everyone ready, weighted up to 90 kilogram, as we know. Huge quality base here. It's absolutely down to the driver talent. And in that lineup there, of course, we are looking for where Ruben Boutens is. Now, Ruben Boutens is 4th from last there, so I can imagine he's going to be given a pretty big gap there till we see him heading out. Let's have a look at this. They're still just waiting for the final go-ahead. All the engines are running. All right, they're being sent out now. So across the line. Now, the first one out to qualify down there is Adrian Zajewski. Obviously, we thought was the next likely choice beyond Ruben Boutens for a result here. There's Ruben Bouten, the double world champion and defending British champion. Marcel Hollink there in the number 15. That was Greg Smith just going out of view. But Adrian Zajewski, this can be very interesting to see what he does. We're anticipating a Ruben Boutens' pole position, but Zajewski, if he's second place, that does kind of set the tone for what we're thinking the result could be from this. Oh, is that an instant on the... Yes, someone in the wall. Someone parked up on the side there. Goodness knows what all that was about.
Christopher Powell in the wall. I'm not sure entirely what happened there. He's a long, long way away from the corner. Don't know if he missed his braking zone. Forgot we're on a different layout, something like that. I'm not sure, but he's away again. And qualifying will continue.
Well, on the face of it, you'd have to assume that given that before now he comes steaming around that corner and flat out down the straight, he actually didn't realise where he's supposed to go. Of course, this is a revised layout. A lot of these guys, they haven't seen it, they've not practiced it. It's going to be all new, and it's certainly going to mix up that result a little bit, as if we need that. We've got a pretty mixed up result as it is. But here comes Zajewski about to finish his qualifying lap. Now, this is the benchmark. So, Zajewski there is on the provisional pole. Callum Conway second. Obviously, we wait for Ruben Boutens, but it's still Zajewski there. Still Zajewski. Sullivan up there.
Yeah, Ruben's looking good round the last corner. We're going to find out any second now whether he's done enough. And he has, goes into provisional pole by 6/10 of a second.
That is a huge margin from what we've seen. Quite a bit of Hollink, Marcel Hollink into second place from Zajewski. Powell comes through to 8th. So it's Ruben Boutens leading from Marcel Hollink, Adrian Zajewski, Lucas Sullivan, Callum Conway, Adam Preston, Phil Pryor, Mitch Powell and Christopher Powell, and Greg Smith rounds out the tail there. So that's on the revised layout. It's quite a little bit windy, a bit more hairpin involved, so it suits the driver who can get the thing turned in better. Here comes Ruben Boutens on screen. There's Marcel Hollink. They're being lined up in order now, which they're going to make the start. Ruben Boutens, we can assume, is going to check out. It wouldn't be unrealistic to think that he can pull out enough of a lead to be able to maintain that lead despite his pit stop. I would expect in this situation a very late stop by the current champion.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is a statement by Ruben Boutens as much as anything else. It wasn't just important that he got pole there, it was important that he did it by a long way, and he did. So back in contention, back at the top of the order where he belongs.
Absolutely, and there he is, double world champion, former double world champion, Ruben Boutens from Holland. He's 6 times winner of this whole event, the British Rental Kart Championship, 6 times consecutively. He's shooting for 7 titles this weekend. Those who weren't here earlier on, Ruben Boutens was beaten down to 3rd place in the earlier race. Selina Belnegger and I've forgotten it, Mats de Jong, that was it. Pushed him down there, but he's taking the start now from that 1st place. Marcel Hollink. Now, Marcel Hollink is looking good for a lot of points out of this one. Whether or not he beats Ruben Boutens is a bit of a moot point, but certainly he and Zajewski are going to consider that they are the ones who are in the fight for second. Now, there's Lucas Sullivan. Lucas Sullivan is in 4th place, and he's managed to stay with the Polish driver, Zajewski. This is the revised layout, so a slightly different view from what we've had before, but still we've got this long back stretch. There's Ruben Boutens, there's Marcel Hollink, there's Adrian Zajewski, and behind that Lucas Sullivan. As the field stream through, we've got still Greg Smith showing up in the rear, but we can expect him to try to move forward in the 19.
Yeah, absolutely, he's doing a very good job there, Ruben, as well, pulling away. What's very interesting about this layout is normally the overtaking spot on this circuit is after the back straight into that left hairpin, whereas now it's changed. You don't have quite so much speed going into that corner, which changes the dynamics of how the drivers approach this. Really, the main passes we're going to see are going to be into the hairpin where the snail was, and probably into the stops as well.
Well, absolutely, and of course our good old favourite, the corner at the end of the back straight. We've seen a lot of action, including today with Ruben Boutens. His pass on Selina Belnegger earlier on, which he was able to come back on him when he ran wide, have been a good example. But Ruben Boutens starting now to increase the lead. The former world champion, double world champion Ruben Boutens, the Dutchman, he's obviously a multiple champion of a variety of European nations, but here in Britain this has been his speciality. He's 6 times British champion. He's shooting for 7 this weekend. Arguably this is going to be his toughest year. You've had to tackle him before, Jamie. It's not an easy proposition. I mean, I've had to try and tackle him. I'd say I've been in the same race as him, but I've certainly struggled to be in contention with him. Oh, Kyle, we've got a pit visitor.
Yep, Callum Conway has come in the pits early and pitted out of that middle battle. He was right in the midfield there, so let's see if that works out well for him.
Okay, Carl, thank you. So, yes, we had, I think it was Callum Conway in the pits there, and so So Callum Conway in the pits, that promotes Greg Smith, amongst others, and already someone there looking over the shoulder on the camera there, looking right into the camera. It's Ruben Boutons, who, as we know, is building into a bit of a lead. Marcel Hollink and Adrian Zajewski are fairly close to each other, and Lucas Sullivan is managing to stay with them, which is fantastic. I mean, he was in 2016 the TKM Festival Cup winner. Of course, that is a two-stroke kart, and it is an outdoor series. So, all right, it's a kart, but it's a much different series to this one. So, good showing there by Lucas Sullivan, and he's coming around in 4th place still. So, over the line, it was Boutons, it's Hollink and Zajewski, and there is Sullivan, and he's got quite an enormous gap there to Adam Preston in 5th place. Jamie, Lucas is looking very good there, isn't he, in that 4th place? Oh, sorry, another one in the pits.
Yeah, we've got number 19. Greg Smith's in the pits from 10th place. Let's see if he can nail some good laps now and try to get himself involved in that midfield battle.
Well, Greg Smith always won for the Larry designs and the fancy designs on the suits and the helmet, and there's kind of a sort of golden sun on the back of his suit, so very kind of early 70s style from Greg Smith there, looking good. He's resumed in the Taylor field, because obviously Callum Conway's passed him on the pit stop. See if he can be moving forward as they work through the pits with all the other drivers. Now, Ruben Boutons, of course, let's have a look at the lap times, because on this revised layout, it's going to take time for the times to come down. We saw earlier on there was Matthias Grooten actually set a new absolute British Rental Kart Championship record lap. And it's really been low, 31.4, and so that is absolutely outstanding effort by the former double world champion. Matthias Grooten, we know he's good, and he's just shown it there. Amwell Barul-Smith would have had that acclaim, but it was the Belgian who managed to pip him. I think it was practically on the last lap, actually, from what I understand. But Ruben Boutons here is setting these benchmark laps. We're looking at 32.9. Surely, Jamie, that's going to get a lot faster as the afternoon progresses.
Well, Ruben's already found 3/10 a lap on this race, so yeah, he's going to continue to lower that. I'd be really surprised if he doesn't find another half second or so in this race. We've got to remember that we're using bits of tarmac as well during this race that haven't been touched probably in about a year since the alternate layout was last put down, so that will make a difference as well. But yeah, we'll see quicker lap times, no doubt.
So we're seeing a 32.90 there from Ruben Boutons. Obviously, it's a bit early to say, and it's quite a jump, but could it be possible that we'll be into the 31s as we are on the regular layout?
You'd hate to say so for sure. I mean, if anyone's going to do it, it's Ruben, isn't it?
He's going to be the one of the contenders to do so. So, and here he is in the lead. Now, on screen there, we can see he's crossing the line now. And let's have a quick check of the lap time. It's gone down by a tenth again, so from 9.0 to 8.0. It is still Ruben Boutons who is fastest comfortably. He's got actually half a second advantage per lap.
We've got another pitter. We have Christopher Powell. Into the pits. Let's see where he feeds out. He's going to feed out behind Callum Conway, but in front of Greg Smith. So he feeds into a solid 9th place.
Yeah, now Greg Smith there is running last, but now he's got Christopher Powell in his sights, and Greg Smith is really going to be trying to chase Powell down. He qualified behind him, but certainly there wasn't much between them. So as Powell does build up his pace, you can see that Greg Smith is clearly closing in on him. Jamie, do you think you can actually catch him from here?
Sorry, Jamie, we've got another one in the pits. We have Mitch Powell into the pits this time. So Mitch Powell in number 8. He's going to be behind Callum Conway, but it looks like it might be close with Christopher Powell here. So the Mitch versus Chris, and looks like Mitch has it.
And this race is livening up because Adrian Zajewski has definitely overtaken Marcel Hollink. It's not on the screen yet, but he has absolutely passed him, and they're going to cross the line, and that'll kind of prove the point with the timing system. So Adrian Zajewski has moved up to 2nd place ahead of the Dutchman Marcel Hollink. Lucas Sullivan continues there, but the battle is actually on near the tail of the field with Mitch Powell, Christopher Powell and Greg Smith. They are bringing up the rear, but it is certainly those three fighting out at the tail. Meantime, Ruben Boutons, 11 laps in the books, 13 minutes on the timer, but Adrian Zajewski has definitely moved ahead there, and in fact he's starting to leave the Dutchman behind. In fact, it looks like Lucas Sullivan is closing in.
Yeah, that move is really going to help Sullivan out as well. It's knocked Hollink back sort of to within shooting range of Sullivan, who's just got to get his head down now, and he might even be into the zone where he's thinking maybe chance of an undercut. Really depends on whether he can find some way of passing, but it's clearly a lot harder to overtake on this layout than what we're used to.
Absolutely, a little bit tougher on this one. Really lunges into hairpins of the order of the day rather than any kind of build-up and momentum, it seems. We are seeing now Adrian Zdziuski there on screen, and you can see how he's starting to pull away from the Dutchman. Zdziuski is from Poland, and Hollink is a Dutchman. Ruben Boutens, also a Dutchman, is leading the way, and he's now gone to 32.7. So gradually those tenths are being chipped away. As we see there, Lucas Sullivan is looking very racy in that 4th place. He's certainly got Hollink in his sights, and in fact he's more believable than he was earlier in the race. I mean, you know, we're what, 8 minutes or so into it now, and certainly Lucas Sullivan showing good. Turning in there, we can see that is the 2nd place battle, Adrian Zdziuski, Marcel Hollink and Lucas Sullivan. Now, really, I don't see any reason to try and strategise your way around this situation if you were one of those 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Would you, Jamie, or do you think you'd stay out there for the moment?
Sullivan will be considering it. I think he still needs a lap or two to close in a little bit on Hollink. Certainly doesn't make any sense for him to stop just yet. Zdziuski, again, now can basically just run till the end. There's no reason. No, he's not going to catch Ruben. And he seems to have everyone behind him covered as well. So really, Sullivan is the one who'll be looking at his options.
I think everybody, including those on the track, with the best will in the world, will have seen that if their name isn't Ruben Boutens, they will have been considering 2nd place in this. There's not any name in that group that you would really consider as a challenger to the great Dutchman. As a result, Adrian Zdziuski is effectively getting the best result he could possibly hope for, which, to be fair, is actually a little bit higher than what he did in the first one. So 2nd place can be very good. It's a whole ton of points, and if he has ambitions of making the semi-final, this is exactly how it go about it. 2nd place in this to Ruben Boutens is certainly no mean feat. Meantime, though, Hollink and the quite incredible Sullivan, who we've not seen before, Lucas Sullivan is really showing great form. Now, they're all, you know, if Ruben Boutens pitted and came back out, he would be 4th. In fact, I think on the next lap he's going to start making enough inroads into everybody in the race that he may well be able to get away with a pit stop and come out still in the lead. We're looking at Lucas Sullivan there. Look at him go. He's really hanging on the back of the Dutchman Hollink. This is Lucas Sullivan, a former TKM driver. He has been a champion in the past, but it's been in the outdoor karting. So really, yes, he knows how to handle a kart, but there'll be things in the outdoor that he'll know that won't help him one jot in this. In fact, may even hurt his progress. Going down to Carl Power in the pits. Carl, it's been a long time since we've seen anyone in the pits, but Ruben Boutens getting almightily close to being able to make a pit stop and resume in the lead.
Yes, and I think that's what he's aiming for, to be honest. He's head and shoulders above everyone else, and he's doing what we call in the racing world, a run and hide. So he's just going to run at the front and try to pit and still come out in a clear 2nd. I think we've seen him do that before. He's cleared some back markers, which the back marker battle incidentally is looking extremely fruity now between Greg Smith and the Powells. But yeah, Ruben Boutens, he's just going to, he'll stay out as long as he possibly can unless he comes up on a big gaggle of back markers. So he's well and truly gone at the front. The interesting battle is looking between Zdziuski and Hollink, and see if Hollink can get back on terms with him.
Absolutely, Carl. And talking of that battle at the back, really, it's the one on form at the moment is Greg Smith. Yeah. Greg Smith is the one making the moves. He was actually running last, if you remember, to begin with. He's moved up ahead of Christopher Powell, and he's really challenging Mitch Powell as they cross the line there. They come past you, and they're being caught by the 2nd place driver. They've already gone a lap down to the absolutely flying Ruben Boutens, but they've been caught by Adrian Zdziuski. Now, it's a little bit more serious because Zdziuski comes with Hollink and Sullivan. In fact, and having a move on Greg Smith. It is, in fact, pushing himself into the wall. He's struggling to get going. The green light is out.
Yep, we've got yellow flag.
Yeah, that was Christopher Powell. He tried to make a move on Greg Smith. It's a very tight hairpin. There's not an awful lot of room. I don't think Greg Smith intended to nerf him into the barrier there. There's just not a lot of space. It's going to get pretty tight down there, isn't it? And we're probably going to see a little bit more of that kind of thing.
It's going to be interesting to see what Zdziuski does now. If he comes up onto his back markers, does he dive into the pits or does he wait for the blue flags? Because if he catches him at the wrong part of the circuit, he can potentially lose a lot of time to Hollink. So Zdziuski might be thinking about diving into the pits here.
Well, it's certainly not going to be a bad idea. So going over to Jamie Henderson. Jamie, you're obviously competing in this event. Adrian Zdziuski, he's going to be catching quite a tight battle there. Mitch Powell, Greg Smith, Chris Powell. Maybe it might be a smart idea to come into the pits, do you think? Would this be where you would consider?
Yes, definitely. I would also consider it again if I was Sullivan. The problem is we've got Adam Preston who's sitting at around the 10-second gap. So it could well be that if Zdziuski pits or if if Sullivan pits as well, they find themselves in that traffic, which is not what you want either. But all four of them now in that position need to be at least thinking about it, but Adam is the man that can make a difference there.
So basically, if either one of these second, third and fourth make a pit stop now, they might pit themselves away from a problem and put themselves smack into another one without the ability to strategize their way around it with the use of the pit stop. Those viewers who are new to indoor karting and particularly new to this international format, during each heat race, which we've got obviously underway now, there is a mandatory pit stop. The pit stop involves the kart coming in, it stops in a box at the beginning of the pit lane and then moves down to a box at the end of the pit lane and away. And we anticipate going to cost around about 10 seconds is the sort of rough idea. We're looking now at Adrian Suzuki, followed by Marcel Holling into the pits. Then it looks like Sullivan.
Yep, we've got Sullivan into the pits. Very aggressive pit entry. That was quite slow. He was dabbing the brake there. I think he was worried about the engine stalling, but he's doing the same here. And I actually think that's costing him time. So this is going to be very, very...
Yeah, no one will be happier about that than Marcel Hollink, the Dutchman, because, of course, Lucas Sullivan, unknown driver to him, he's not part of the international scene, really. He was actually piling on the pressure, and this may well relieve Marcel Hollink and, of course, in turn, Adrian Suzuki. Lucas Sullivan, though, we may see him, make a bit of a lunge as early as possible. In fact, yes, he's all over Phil Price. Someone's in the pits.
Yep, that's number 17. That's Adam Preston into the pits. So now this just opens the doors for Suzuki and Hollink to pit. So that was Preston, as Jamie said, was stifling their ability to pit. But now he's out of the way. I wonder if they'll pick up on that. But actually, there's quite a big gap between Suzuki and Hollink now. So I don't think they'll feel any need to pit anytime soon.
Yeah, we just had a glimpse on screen there of Lucas Sullivan still following Phil Pryor. Obviously with Adam Preston out of the way, Jamie, that is really going to make life a little bit easier. There they are back on screen. It's Lucas Sullivan is the one in the predominantly green and yellow. What do you think of this? I mean, Sullivan, he's looking pretty racy. Do you think he can be...
We've got Boutons in.
Ruben Boutons is in.
The race leader is in. I don't know how long's left. That's quite early. I think he's seen Preston's pitted and he knows there's no harm in him pitting now, so he might as well get it done and out of the way, and he's on his serene cruise to victory.
Absolutely right, Carl. Now, Ruben Boutons has taken that pit stop about as early as you'd really want to do in a perfect world, because he has come out right in front of the second place Adrian Suzuki. So he's given himself the earliest pit stop that allows him to stay in the lead, so he's not hindered by anybody. Now, on the one hand, yes, he would seem to have a bit of an easy ride in this race by comparison. However, it's going to be dead easy to fall asleep, and through goes Sullivan. Sullivan's gone through. He's
and Hollink's in. Hollink is in the pits.
Oh, in the pits, yeah.
Yeah, he's in the pits. He's got a good first light. He must be feeling a bit hot in this extremely cold environment, because he's got his overalls semi-undone to try and get some air in there. He's come out and is clearly ahead of Sullivan there, so let's see what Suzuki does, or if he feels under pressure to react to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Hollink has made his pit stop. He's theoretically comfortably ahead of Sullivan. Obviously, Sullivan has been losing time in his battle with Pryor. He's through now, and he can actually see Marcel Hollink. That's Preston on screen there, followed by the champion, Ruben Boutons. So, right, that's the battle we're talking about. So there's Pryor chasing down Sullivan, but in front of them is Marcel Hollink, and not by that big a distance either. So as we cross the line in a second, there you go, there's Hollink going out of view, and there is Sullivan, the next kart through. So there's Sullivan, followed by Pryor. It's a little bit of the road is Marcel Hollink. Now, I don't know, Jamie, can you see Lucas Sullivan closing in on Hollink at all, or do you think it's a bit of a done deal and fourth place can be as good as it gets from Sullivan?
I suspect now it's a done deal. Sullivan really needed to come out in clean air. He was very unfortunate to come out behind Adam Preston and Phil Pryor, who, by the way, is having a very, very good race. Got to mention that as well. But Sullivan, if he wanted to have a real go at that third place, needed the clear air. It has hurt him. He's lost about 3 seconds. He's unlikely to close up that much, I think, on Hollink. Even if he does, very tough to find a way through.
Absolutely, and we're looking again at Lucas Sullivan versus Phil Pryor there. And the interesting thing with Lucas Sullivan, he obviously is very much the outdoor karter, not the indoor. And notice here, watch this flick, see that little karting flick. That's not normally something you see in an indoor kart because of the loss of momentum and things, but very much what you'd expect into a hairpin in a TKM machine. So very much the outdoor style there. And obviously it's working to a degree to Lucas. I suppose if he made an effort to switch to a slightly smoother indoor style, he would probably go slower before he went quicker, so now isn't the time to be practicing that kind of thing. As you can see, he's really working the wheel there compared to what we see from the likes of Ruben Boutons, for instance, who's much more of a very gradual style. So that karting flick, real case in point.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. I mean, it is clearly working for him. Let's not forget he is the 3rd quickest car out there at the moment, and 4th on track, so it's not exactly not getting results for him. And you're correct, there will be a time and a place to maybe scrub up a bit on the indoor skills, but it's not during the competition.
Absolutely. He's not going to get any better for changing now, is he? In fact, in the pits comes Phil Pryor.
Yep, so we've got Phil Pryor into the pits now in the 21. It's a nice, steady first stop. I'm just having to look up the track. Ruben Bouton's going to come round to lap him, so Phil Pryor comes out. He's going to come out right into the path of Ruben Bouton's, and he sees him and backs off. Yep, good lad.
Yeah, Phil Pryor there just backs off for a moment coming out of the pits. He lets the former world champion through, and there, of course, Lucas Sullivan has now been freed from his Phil Pryor concern. And Lucas Sullivan, maybe he'll be in very soon as well. There's only 2 minutes to go. They're going to be readying the checker flag soon for, of course, world champion Ruben Bouton's, who's really dominated this race. Now, although we said I've just said he's really dominated this race, although we've said, you know, he's an ace, the world champion, whatever, he's only 3 seconds ahead of Adrian Sajewski. However, am I right?
We've got Sajewski's in the pits.
Yep.
That was one of the last opportunities he had to pit, and has done it. So let's see where he comes out. I think, yeah, he's comfortably ahead of Holling. So the top 3 are set in stone, pretty much.
Absolutely, and Adrian Sajewski has maintained a position actually even further ahead than Marcel Holling than he had before. He's now 5 seconds up the road, so it's pretty stagnant amongst the front runners. Generally, we were looking further back, and of course it is right at the very back there. Greg Smith is still all over the back. We're looking at that now. There's Greg Smith all over the back of Mitch Powell. Now, Adrian Sajewski seems to be closing in on that pair to put them a lap down, but Greg Smith is in the middle of the fight. And, you know, yes, he's the kind of guy who is going to try and help Sajewski through. He'll recognise the actual reality of the situation, but he's not want to give up on his fight. Mitch Powell, I mean, he's making Mitch Powell work for it. Look at this. Greg Smith, probably the most fighting performance we've seen from a while from him.
Yeah, fantastically seen. I think, you know, he might as well have a go, Mike. He might as well. Well, actually, it's a past him. Oh, fantastic.
Not only has Greg Smith gone through over Mitch Powell, but Adrian Sajewski has actually passed Powell to put him a lap down. Now, certainly he's going to move his way through past Greg Smith fairly soon. I think Greg will realise, well, look, I've got my position. There's no one in front that I'm really chasing down. There's only 20 seconds to go. That checker's going to be out in a second. And he may well let the other guy through. Yes, he has. So Greg Smith has seen the situation. Now look at this on screen now, Ruben Bouton's. Look at the superlative style of the former world champion. He's coming through, he's going to take the win. There he is, he's got it in the bag. Oh, sorry, is that 1 to go still? 1 to go, they've got 1 more lap to go. So Ruben Bouton's on his final lap, he's done to time. And here he is, he's the double world champion. This is the style of the 6 times British champion. Although he's from Holland and lives there, he races across all of Europe, all these national championships. He has taken each one of the BRKC events here since it moved to this track permanently in 2014. Each time, though, different opposition. Here he is, they're getting ready with a checker flag. It's going to be world champion Ruben Bouton's who takes the win, 6 times British champion, and that's a huge ton of points towards his 2020 title as far as he's concerned. And the carts are coming through now as they continue on. There's Sajewski, he's taking his 2nd place. That's Sajewski in 2nd, and Marcel Holling just there in 3rd, so he'll be pleased with that one. There he is, this coming through now, and there's Lucas Sullivan as well in 4th place. A great showing there by Lucas Sullivan. Callum Conway came through in 5th. Phil Pryor's in 6th in the end. Conway managed to get between those two. Adam Preston, and then Greg Smith. Greg Smith moved up to 8th place. Of course, remember, he was running 10th last begin with from the 2 Powells, Mitch versus Christopher. Kyle, we're going over to you in the pit lane now, and a pretty supreme win there by the former world champ and reigning British champ Ruben Bouton's.
Yep, that was a supreme performance of what we've come to expect from recent years. I've just waved my mic at Sajewski. I'm going to grab Greg Smith actually, because he doesn't have to weigh. I'm just going to see. Yep, I'm just going to get Marcel Holling as well. So I think I'm going to try and grab Ruben Bouton's, Marcel Holling and Greg Smith, but I'll grab the top 2 once they have weighed. And yep, again, Greg, come on. Yep. Much better. So Smith is just going to drop his lead off, and hopefully he comes back for an interview. Hollink has agreed. Zajewski doesn't want to have an interview, which is fair enough. It's not obligatory, so you have to. So, Greg, if he gets his helmet off. So, I'm here with Greg Smith. That was a very fighting battle to 8th. How did you find that on the alternate layout?
Yeah, it took me a bit of time to analyse the layout in general. But in general, it was actually pretty good to learn and very easy to do. So I managed to pull it a 33.3 or 33.4 out of the bag. So I thought, okay, that's pretty good. And then on the last few laps, I made a daring move up the inside, which I felt I think maybe I'll get a penalty, but it was okay in the end. So, but I need to have a word with him and see if it's okay or not.
A bit of tough love, but well done. A nice fighting finish up to 8th from 10th.
Cheers, Carl. Thanks very much.
So that was Greg Smith there, fighting 8th, and I'm now here. Hello, I'm now here with Marcel Hollink, who's a very good third place. Me and yourself had a good battle here a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I had quite a few good battles here.
Yeah.
This time around, I couldn't keep up with Zajewski, but furthermore, it was a nice race. No one really threatening me anymore at the back at the end. In the front, I had a gap, so it was quite a lonely race, but I had fun.
Good. Do you get the feeling of doom when you see Ruben Bouton's name on your heat list?
Yeah, but he's from the same country I am. I know him already for quite a couple of years. I know he's dead fast, and I've managed to beat him twice in qualifying, but that's just about it.
Okay, so that's 2 top 5s and that's 2 thirds I think you've had now, isn't it? So
first race was 5th, now I'm 3rd.
Okay, 5th and 3rd, that's a good strong start.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. Could have been a lot worse.
Indeed, well done.
Thank you.
And I'm going to get race winner Ruben Boutons. Ruben, well done. So you must feel a bit of pressure when you're going out for your qualifying lap, considering you didn't do as well as you thought you would in the first race. Like, do you feel pressure? Do you get nervous? Do you even have emotions?
Yeah, for sure. I feel always a little bit of tension and think it's good, because if you don't feel some tension, then I think you don't have the right motivation to win. But yeah, the first race, my qualification was not good, so I was very focused to do it better now. And I think I had almost half second margin, so I was happy with that. And yeah, in the race, it went straight forward. I could pull away from the start, so I'm really happy with this race.
Were you watching the gap to second place so you could pit and then get out ahead of them? Because as soon as that gap opened up, you were straight in.
Yeah, exactly. I waited till it was like 11, 12 seconds that I could do a safe stop and cover them. And then I knew, yeah, if something would happen with yellow flag or anything, I would be safe. So that was indeed my plan.
Brilliant. Well done. Extremely strong drive. Right, we're getting ready for heat number 2. Back to you, James.
Nice one, Carl. Thank you. And Ruben Boutons clearly was able to impose his authority. And we head for round 2, heat 2. And so as we return now for round 2, heat 2, Jamie Henderson, let's have a look at this. I'm looking at the lineup on this one. We'll go through it because obviously it's easy to. We're going to get the qualifying things in. But to be honest, former ladies world champion Selena Balnega is kind of going to be the favourite, I think, for this race. It's going to be interesting. I think the biggest challenge potentially coming from David Kart. Is going to be the one that makes her work hard for this one. And of course, Jana Verbreken, former Belgian champion. Is there anyone else? And Johnny Elliott, maybe. Who would you be feeling about this in this race?
Yeah, it's a really good one. I was just thinking initially looking at the list, I'm not so sure that there's any sort of real standouts, but there are actually when you look a bit more at it. Balnega obviously with a superb win earlier, beating Ruben to its first place. Got Chart there, was very, very quick earlier. Johnny Elliott and yeah, Verbreken all got a chance.
Yeah, that's right. Suddenly there's 4 people out. And of course, Andrew Duff we saw come through running solidly mid-pack earlier on. In fact, probably racing better than ever, although he's not writing the blog this year, which is massive disappointment. And I'm sure there'll be a few people take him outside for a little chat about that later on. But anyway, so an interesting set of people who may want to be trying to score extra points in this would be James Martin, Dwayne Stoddart, who keeps talking like he's 9th or 10th, but actually, you know, we've seen has the possibility of running a lot higher than that, and potentially mid-pack as he gains the experience at this level. but I think Selena Balnega and David Kart are the ones. Now, the flag's coming out, so we've got results in. It's James Martin who's fastest at the moment, and Matt West is coming a little bit lower down. There's Dwayne Stoddart, and the times are coming in. It's still, and Andrew Duff there is into third, and but Selena Balnega is fastest by half a second. Incredible result. And there's David Kart in second. Johnny Elliott's gone to second, 2/10 behind Selena. So it's Balnega from Elliott from Kart and James Martin. Zach Ven's come up into 5th place, and Jana Verbreken has been pushed down to 6th with Andrew Duff 7th, Matt West 8th, Nicky Dolan 9th, and Dwayne Stoddart in 10th. We thought obviously our most likely pole position time setter would be Selena Balnega, which has come to pass. But Johnny Elliott has actually maybe moved a couple of places higher than what we figured there, Jamie.
Yeah, absolutely. She's in it to win it, isn't she? Absolutely flying, doing a great job. I didn't give enough credit to James Martin before the start of this race. I forgot he was in it. Very good effort there as well. And then we've got Chart as well in 3rd place. It's going to be tight. Johnny needs a good result as well. Remember, he came 4th in his first heat, and he is a rapid driver. He's one of the top British hopes, but he'll be thinking a win might be necessary here in order to make him look comfortable for the semi-finals and the final.
Absolutely, and comfortable isn't a word we've often used over the years for Johnny Elliott. It's somehow always gone wrong. However, I must say in the last, 3 years, the British Rental Kart Championship, in his racing generally, he really is a lot more of a solid competitor and certainly capable of taking the fight to Selena Balnega here, no problem at all. Selena, of course, multiple Ladies World Champion, 5 times Ladies World Champion, Selena Balnega, and races at the front in any championship she's in. So, she's taking the start now. It's a green flag, and Johnny Elliott's behind. There's a lot of hard braking goes on that first hairpin. It's easy to overshoot, as we all know. So as they lead around the opening lap, it is still Selena Balnega from Johnny Elliott and David Kart in 3rd place. But Kart's coming under pressure there from the 4th place, James Martin, which was, again, somebody we overlooked. Now down the backstretch, we see on screen, it's Selena Balnega from Johnny Elliott. Now, everyone with the tinted visors seems to be racing with them up. Johnny's is down. He seems to have the vision, though.
Yeah, personally I always try and have my visor up these days when it's tinted, but I didn't go any quicker, so I don't think there's much to it really. Johnny's got it down, he's flying. At the minute he'll just be seeing what he can learn from Selena, who obviously out-qualified him by 2/10 of a second. He'll be seeing basically what she knows that he maybe doesn't, as soon as he feels comfortable running at that pace, then he'll probably have an attack.
Absolutely. Of course, Johnny Elliott will be fully aware Selena Balnega is a very fast driver, and if anything, he may well want to just sort of run with her away. Her attitude right now is going to be to try and do what we've just seen Ruben Boutons do. She wants to sort of check out results in this, just get clear and get gone. Johnny Elliott, of course, if he can stay with her, even if he doesn't pass her, you know, 2nd place is going to be a lot of points. He was 4th earlier on, so this would be a step up and will give him a lot of confidence going forward. Of course, we've got David Kart and then the aforementioned James Martin. Now, James Martin, somehow this happens every year. We kind of don't figure him, and then he appears in these sort of positions. So James Martin, a lot more solid competitor than I think he gets credit for, as he runs around in 4th, and the incredible Zach Venn is up to 5th, and the reason I'm saying incredible is Jana Verbreken is behind him, so very good showing there by Zach Venn. But James Martin, definitely underrated.
We have a pit, Nicky Dolan is into the pits. Nicky Dolan is into the pits. They got a car almost cut out there, but they managed to get it back going. They qualified 9th. I think they pitted from 9th, so I think they're going to be on their own there. There was a little bit of a slow pit stop.
Yeah, that's right, Carl. Nicky Dolan came out from 9th. It does elevate Dwayne Stoddart into 9th himself, and so that doesn't really affect the result too much as they stand. So still we've got Selena Balnega there with Johnny Elliott running absolutely with her. Now, Johnny Elliott is probably hoping for Selena to be able to actually pull away a little bit more. Selena from the Netherlands has got Johnny Elliott shadowing a bit. Actually, Johnny Elliott is about the same gap. The gap he is away from the leader is all he is ahead of 3rd place, which is the rapid Polish driver David Kart. David Kart we saw getting the result earlier on as well, and David is certainly a force to be reckoned with. He in turn is James Martin. In fact, if you look when the camera pans out, we're still really nearly everybody in contention. You know, at least the top 7 or 8. Jamie, this is going to be a little bit of a tight race at the end, I think.
Yeah, definitely. There's 3 potential winners here. It was like I was saying at the start, Johnny is just seeing what he can learn, and already his pace has improved massively over the course of the race. Selena will be feeling under a little bit of pressure. If Kart can get involved in this as well, it's going to be very, very interesting when we start looking at pit stops and who's going to blink first.
Absolutely, and still, you know, a big teller of the sort of attitude of the race is on that backstretch, where we see that the leaders, or those who are under attack, will automatically, without even looking, go to the inside, which as we look up the straight will be to the right, whereas we're seeing with this lot they're actually all on the left hand side, the outside part, which is the normal given racing line. And they're continuing around these sort of twists and turns. Of course, it's a bit of a new course for everybody. On that backstretch now, and you can see there's really nothing happening in terms of aggressive moves at the end there. It is one golden opportunity to overtake, but Johnny Elliott is now a lot closer to Selena Balnega, and certainly has moved ahead in terms of distance from David Kart, who still has James Martin with him. So Johnny Elliott's the one who's sort of making the moves at the moment. He's not the fastest on the track, but he's second fastest, so that pretty much creates its own picture. They certainly, the two leaders are pulling away from third place David Kart. David now is 1.6 seconds behind Selena Balnega. Now here come the two leaders. So there's Selena, there's Johnny, and there's that gap to David Kart, and he's trying to bring James Martin with him. Jan Verbreken is dropping back even further, the former Belgian champion. I'm honestly quite surprised to see now that Jan Verbreken is 4 seconds off the lead.
Yeah, and he's fallen into the clutches of Zach Venebit, who's just made a move on Andrew Duff. Those two are both pulling each other along quite nicely as well. Jan is going to have to think a little bit about defending in the seconds, because James Martin is pulling away from him as well. It's not all going his way at the moment, but still a long way to go, of course.
Absolutely, and of course it's Zach Venn he's defending from, and arguably Andrew Duff, and then Matt West is sort of coming into the mix. So there's a little bit of a four-cart group building up there as we look there at the fourth place James Martin. James Martin going through. There's David Kart, there's James Martin. So we're seeing James Martin here running in the fourth place, and then it's fifth and sixth for Verbreken ahead. So as they continue on, we're nearly 10 laps in now with Selena Balnega there leading from Johnny Elliott. Johnny Elliott is within a second of Selena, and he's really got a bit of a watching brief. There's now a 2-second gap between David Kart, who we're looking at on the screen there in the green helmet, and the leader. So David Kart is falling away slightly, and James Martin, well, he's not really close to David Kart. So David Kart is about as lonely as you could say, given that it's a bit of a line of karts going on. David already probably is going to be considering that third place is the best.
Yeah, looks that way. Quite comfortable behind him, quite comfortable in front of him. So,
yeah, absolutely. It's. I think we're really seeing what's happening in the pit stops. Still, nobody's making any sort of aggressive defensive moves. See on this backstretch, we see them move to our right when we're looking up it, their left, when they're coming down it under pressure, and the fact that they're not shows that no one's really feeling any pressure. So there's James Martin, and they're the two leaders. There's David Kart, and here comes James Martin. This is going to be great for James Martin, because he's actually quietly gathering quite a few points together. If we look at James Martin's history, well, 2 years ago, you know, he was 52nd, and that's been his best result. But with the results he's getting today, he's solidly in the middle there, in the upper half of the middle. He could well be in the 40s, and with a fair win, maybe even knocking on the doors of a semi-final.
absolutely, it would be quite embarrassing if I was wrong about this, but I'm quite confident James Martin beat me in my earlier heat. I think he finished fourth there as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's absolutely knocking on the door of the semi-finals. He's racing very, very well.
Yeah, he's pretty quiet and pretty underrated in the scheme of things, and I think he could well be somebody who, even if he doesn't make the semi-finals, he'll certainly improve and be in the top half of the championship. Now, Johnny Elliott is really starting to apply pressure to the race leader. There they go through. Johnny Elliott is the second of those two. Selena Balnega is the leader there as they cross the line again. That's 13 laps in, and Johnny Elliott is really sort of closing in on the Dutch girl ahead. They're matching each other time. Johnny Elliott ever so slightly faster on that last lap, but look at the smooth turn in there. Yes, it's a bit of a flick going into the hairpin, but not quite as extreme as TKM driver Lucas Sullivan we saw before. That's the big difference in the outdoor and indoor karts. The indoor karts are always looking to maintain momentum. Of course, taking away nothing from Lucas Sullivan, because he did manage an excellent result in that previous race, but you can just see the different styles coming into play there. The indoor kart has just got that element of sort of smoothness rather than the slightly more ragged edge of the outdoor two-stroke kart. Now, there's David Kart, there's the aforementioned James Martin, there is Jan Verbreken. Now, Jan, I was worried about him being in a bit of a battle behind, but he's sort of pulled away slightly from Venn, who's pulled away quite a lot from Andrew Duff and Matt West. Really, there are just big gaps appearing in the whole field now, except for the two leaders. It's half a second between these two. Now, do you think Johnny can do it?
think he probably can. I think he's waiting for the right opportunity. I think he now knows where he's quick and where maybe he was losing out a little bit. It's about whether he wants to do it in the pit stops or whether he wants to throw it down the inside. I suspect he's just going to keep right on the tail if he possibly can. Wait till the last couple of minutes and then see what the pit stops bring him.
Absolutely. Now, what's very interesting is the number 10 kart that Johnny is in. Brad didn't rate it, but the other two who've driven it did rate it in his team. So it's who knows? It's obviously suiting some people less than others. Now, what's really interesting in that respect is that Selena Balnega, we saw how she was able to defeat double world champion and reigning British champion Ruben Boutons in the earlier race, but Johnny's staying with her. Johnny's looking very believable indeed. He's maintaining that gap of half a second. We can't really be sure with this new Johnny Elliott whether he's actually applying pressure or just playing it super cool. If he's playing it cool, it doesn't get much cooler than this. But certainly, you know, I'm sure Selena's thinking the same thing. Oh, almost contact there. As Johnny Elliott is now really applying the pressure. Now, is Johnny going to come in? No, he's content to stay with the Dutch girl. Now, Selena Balnega is really probably... she's going to be uncertain about this. Johnny Elliott isn't a driver she actually has to tackle very often. Johnny doesn't go and do the foreign events these days. He's very much in Britain, and it's kind of before her time that he was doing the foreign events, and it was a different Johnny Elliott doing it. You know, it was a more emotional, more liable to error Johnny Elliott, where this super slick and composed Johnny that we have today is really going to be one that kind of messes with her head a little bit, because she's not able to pull away. She knew what she was dealing with Ruben Boutons and the others before, but not maybe with Johnny Elliott. Kyle, we've been fairly quiet reference you because nobody's been coming at the pits.
And
but
just as you say that, yep, it's Andrew Duff, or Michael I should call him, as I called him before. So Andrew Duff's in, let's see where he comes out. Dwayne Stoddart goes through, but he's come out quite far ahead of Nicky Dolan as well. So it looks like he's in a nailed on 9th for now, but that could improve another's pit.
There's an awful lot of people to pit in front of him because hardly anyone's been in. Those who have pitted tend to be nearer the tail, but one crucial thing with Andrew Duff is I think, am I right in saying that West and Stoddart have been in?
No, they haven't.
No, okay, so yeah, in that case, Andrew Duff is in a good shape.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get Stoddart. I don't know about West, so it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. Just a quick comment on the lead battle now. Johnny, it keeps toing and throwing, but I think Johnny definitely has a little bit more pace. He seems a little bit stronger through this last section, but Selena looks better through the first section. So it's just panning out on mistakes. So it'll be interesting to see if Johnny fancies himself to pull the pin and try and get the undercut.
Well, I think Selena Balnega is certainly concerned about that, because look at the amount of looking over her shoulder she's doing. She's paying about as much attention to what's going on behind as what's up ahead. I think she's probably quite concerned about Johnny. Now, obviously, someone of Selena's standard will have the strategy in hand and will have help from the pits. Now, obviously, if she's worried about Johnny's speed, the best thing she can do right now, Jamie, is stay out there, isn't it? Because at least she can contain him. Whereas if she was to pit, Johnny's going to be then free. If he's able to make a faster pace, then she's going to suffer for him doing that. But at least she knows what the crack is and she can control it a little bit from the front there. Jamie, she's surely going to stay out as long as possible now.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the amount of looking over her shoulder she's doing, you're absolutely right. But you need to keep a good track of where the driver behind you is, because when Johnny does make that stop, she needs to be on it. She needs to absolutely smash the lap in and then get herself in so she can cover off that undercut.
Absolutely, and worse from Selena's point of view, of course, is she doesn't really know Johnny. You know, if it was somebody else, she'd know what they're going to do, how they're going to think things. You know, people know each other, but she's not really had much experience of racing with Johnny Elliott, because when Johnny was racing internationally, it was before her time, so to speak. So there's Johnny with that very much European lean. You'll notice with the indoor karting, the drivers tend to lean out quite a lot. It is to lift that inside rear wheel through the tight corners. Obviously, indoor kart track is a lot tighter than an outdoor one, and it really plays a part. Certainly, you notice it very much so in the taller drivers. So if we're talking, watching the likes of, say, Johnny Elliott, Regis Gosselin, Sam Spinell, you can really see them leaning out. Look at that, Johnny leaning out the side of the kart there. That's to help the kart steer through the corner, rotate the chassis through the turn. There's less than 7 minutes now. Now, Selena has got through, and Johnny's been weighed through by the back marker, but he has lost some time. He's weighed, thanks, but it's cost him a little bit. It's now gone up to, 3/4 of a second instead of just half. There's Selena Balnega, the Dutch 5 times ladies world champion. She's trying to fend off Johnny Elliott, who's looking to try and take the win if he can. Johnny's looking pretty convincing in this race, Jamie. I don't think Selena's got it in the bag by any means.
She doesn't. This is a really interesting phase of the race now, because Johnny was held up a little bit with the back marker a bit more. The gap is as big as it's been, and we can now tell whether he has the pace over her or not, or whether actually now that he's fallen out of the toe just a little bit, she's going to be able to make up that gap. If Johnny can make that gap quite a bit smaller, it means the undercut's probably on for him.
Absolutely, it could well occur. I mean, it's going to come down to a tight pit stop. That puts a lot of pressure on both of them to get it right. They've got to be really fast, but of course, if they are too quick through the pits, they've got to stop twice in the same pit stop. They stop at the beginning and at the end of the pit lane, and so when that happens, they mustn't be too fast through the pit lane. We allow for about 10 seconds, but they are under pressure to keep it as tight as possible. And we've seen incidents where already today where people have gone too fast, too early. Into the pits, have we?
That is Dwayne Stoddart into the pits. So he was Andrew Duff was just catching him up. So that's going to please Andrew Duff. Let's see where Dwayne Stoddart comes out. I think it could be close between him and Nicky Dolan. And it looks like he's clearly ahead of Nicky Dolan. So that's a good jump for Dwayne Stoddart.
Yeah, he's made it clean, but he's come out right in front of David Kart. So David Kart will be a bit disappointed. That's potentially good news for James Martin. There's Selena Balnegger and Johnny Elliott. Andrew Duff, though, if we look at the times and we're considering in 10 seconds for a pit stop, when Matt West comes in out of 7th place, Johnny Elliott's going to come probably alongside him as West exits the pits himself. Meantime, the leads have got 5 minutes left to go. Neither of them are making a pit stop yet. It's the biggest gap so far between the two, but certainly nothing in it in reality. James Martin's just being waved through by Dwayne Stoddart there, very sporting there of Dwayne. In the pits though.
Yep, we have number 19. Verbraeken, let's see where he comes out. That is, I think it's Matthew West that has just gone through, and it has. So Verbraeken comes out, I think he was 5th when he pitted.
Yeah, that's right. Now, that's quite interesting because Verbreken's come out 7th. Andrew Duff is 8th, but he's nowhere near him. You know, it's like an 8 seconds gap. So Andrew Duff is probably as high as he's going to be. However, Matt West is going to be very close when Matt West makes his pit stop. Really, if West's pit stop is good, he will be ahead of Duff.
And we have another pitter. It's Zach Venn is in. So Zach Venn is in, and this is probably in reaction to Verbraeken. Verbraeken goes through. Matthew West. Sorry, that was Zach Venn. That wasn't the best pit stop I've seen, but he comes out in clear air, completely on his own. So I don't know what position he's in at the moment, but
he's
got
down in
nobody near him.
7th, and he's certainly lost a place to Verbraeken, the Belgian champion, the former Belgian champion. We'll see how that looks. I'm sure he lost the place, but we'll double check when they come round next time in the timing. So across the line is Stoddart and Dolan. There is Stoddart that we're looking at now. There's Dwayne Stoddart. He'll probably be now a little bit disappointed with this 9th. He's been putting in some really good results and some very fast laps. But Dwayne Stoddart there is coming under increasing pressure from Nicky Dolan. This is effectively the fight for last. Here's the fight for first. Selena Balnegger has actually got a bigger lead than ever. And is she coming in? No, she's not. Johnny Elliott is the one she's trying to just pull away from. Let's just have a little look at those lap times. Selena Balnegger is the fastest out there. Yeah, and she's actually quicker than Johnny Elliott by 1/10 on that lap. I think she's realised that she's going to have to get a bit of a move on, as much as anything, to just create some a little bit more ease for the pit stop, because the last thing you need is a pressured pit stop, Jamie. That's a great way to lose a race. Or collision for the battle for the tail. And in fact, Dwayne Stoddart looks to go straight into the barrier, but he's got going again, and they're in the position they were in before, so probably no penalties or requests by the organiser to switch back. So that's the battle for the tail. As you can see, it's really opened out. A second ago, they were more than close. They were into each other. But certainly here, we've now got a gap of 1.5 seconds. Selena Balnegger has found something from somewhere, and that's going to allow a less rushed pit stop, shall I say,
And we've got
Jay?
21. Matthew West is in. So Matthew West is in. It's going to see. So we have Zach Venn goes through. Andrew Duff's coming now. This is going to be really close of Andrew Duff.
Yes, Andrew Duff is going to have to make a move. Now, if it was the ordinary snail, he would be in with a chance, but he's not now because it's a hairpin on the revised layout. So Andrew Duff...
And Johnny's in. Yep. Johnny Elliott is in from 2nd place. So he's starting to drop back a little bit from Selena there. So I think this is just to consolidate his 2nd place now.
And very much a fan favourite, though, with everyone involved in indoor karting, is Johnny Elliott. So a lot of people have been keen to see him do well. He's resumed in 4th place. Of course, everyone in front of him does have to stop. That's Selena Balnegger, David Kart and James Martin, but it has to be said that I think he's probably too far back from Selena. Selena's in, yeah?
And Selena Balnegger is is reacting immediately, which is a wise thing to do, and she is followed in by David Chart as well. Kart, even. Good pit stops by both of them so far. It comes out, so Balnega goes out, and Chart, yep, it's status quo. There is no change at the front.
Yeah, that was a very, very important pit stop by Selena Balnega. She couldn't really afford to leave it any later than that. Yes, she had managed to create that little bit of a gap, but there was no point risking it. It was very much worth her while to come in straight away. At least she knows where Johnny actually is now, and that's behind her, and that's where she wants him. So Selena Balnega has got probably the most convincing lead that she's had yet this race. Another one in the pits, I believe.
Yep, that is number 9, that's James Martin. So James Martin in the pits. He was in quite a battle with Bracken, I thought, and he's going to come out clearly ahead of Bracken.
Yeah, it was David Kart he was trying to chase down there. Unfortunately, he seems to have lost a bit of ground as James Martin, but still, 4th place is great. That's a lot of points. Remember, he's trying to get in the top half of this championship, and being 5th and 4th is exactly the right way to do it. Meantime, we're into the maybe the penultimate lap now for Selena Balnega, multiple ladies world champion. There she is on screen. She's bringing it round to start what's going to be the final lap there. So Selena through, and clearly she's got 2-second lead there over Johnny Elliott, so it's looking good for her. There's Johnny Elliott in 2nd, and there's David Kart in 3rd as they come through with a bigger gap. Now there's Selena Balnega there going through the revised area. This is the bit of track that we didn't see earlier on this morning if you were watching on the live stream and on Motorsport TV. As Selena Balnega comes down the backstretch, there she is, ladies world champion no less than 5 times. An epic performance. This is why she's running at the front, knows exactly what to do, huge amount of experience, and certainly making it look easy out there, and takes the win. There's the checker flag, so a great win there by Selena Balnega, her 2nd of the championship. This is a huge ton of points for her, and a great score for Johnny Elliott.
Absolutely fantastic, and of course Selena now guaranteed the championship lead at the halfway phase. No matter what happens, she's at least going to be joint first. Can't do much better than that.
Absolutely not. That's been an outstanding performance by the Dutch woman there, because beating Johnny Elliott, he got that gap down to 1.8, and it had been over 2, but obviously that's not enough, and it's still 2nd place. David Kart in 3rd. David Kart is someone we've never seen here before. That's 2 third places for him, so decent amount of points for him. James Martin in 4th, and here comes Selena Balnega and Kyle Power in the pit lane. We're going to go over to you now.
Yep, just watching Selena come in. That was good. David Chart gave me a bit of a sideways look. He said to me before his English isn't so good, so he's a bit uncertain about an interview, but I think he's going to come and talk to me this time. I have a feeling. So yeah, another stunning drive by Selena Balnega. 2 out of 2 on debut here at BRKC. Like, obviously she's an extremely experienced driver, 5 times ladies world champion. But again, it's every track has its foibles and its little nuances. So to pick it up and dominate, well, not quite dominate, but put in such a strong performance and convincingly win 2 races is phenomenal. I think we're going to be seeing an awful lot of her in the final. So you could argue that she's a new favourite. As James said, she's going to be equal on points now. So we've got some people just been weighed. I think we've got David has just been weighed. We've got Johnny. So I'm going to try and get Johnny to come over. Yep, so... Hi. So, in the pit lane here, we have 2nd place finisher. We have Johnny Elliott here. Johnny, well done. That was a good race. It looked pretty tough out there against Selena. How do you think you're going on the alternate layout?
Love it. Yeah, real big fan of it. That kart, I actually had that same kart in the first heat, so I was the last one to pick the karts, and I drew that kart again, so it was either that one or take a cold. So this track's not got as many straights, you know, so it pace on the straight, managed to keep with her, really had to work hard getting it perfect into the corners. But yeah, happy with the results, 2nd place in this event this year. I'll take that, yeah.
Yeah, indeed, and it's against somebody who's beat Ruben Boutons in the first time round in the first race and is equal joint championship leader, so it's not all bad, is it?
Oh, I knew that was going to get brought up. Yeah, happy with it. She drove well. Tried to pressure her a few times. I gave her a nudge, and yeah, there was just nothing I could do, so yeah, it was a good race.
Okay, brilliant. Nice when you got your championship back on track. So that was Johnny Elliott, who finished a strong 2nd place. And now, again, hello again. So we have here's Selena Baunegger.
Yeah.
2 out of 2 at BRKC. This is easy, isn't it?
No, it's not easy, but I'm really, really happy. I knew the drivers in this heat were okay. I didn't have a difficult heat as the heat before. But then I drew Kart 8, and that's one of the last fastest kart, as well as 10 and I think 14 also. But I was really happy with Paul, and I was like just hoping for a gap. But he stayed on my bumper quite a long time. And I think then I find something on the track, and then I drove an 0.7, and he was still on 9 and 8. So I think every lap 1/10 faster, and then I think I pulled a gap of 1 second or something. But I'm really, really happy.
How did you find the alternate layout?
At first I was pretty scared, but after all it's fine. It's not that difficult as I thought.
Well, it certainly didn't slow you down. And another medal.
Yeah, sorry. I forgot the last medal. I didn't hear you.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So yeah,
Thank
congratulations,
you so much.
and I
Thank
think
you.
you're now joint championship leader at the very worst.
I don't know, but we have 2 more races to go, so I hope I can have another good races tomorrow, because there are a lot of fast drivers. So with 2 wins, you're not safe as because Ruben has now in first place, and a lot of guys have first, second places. So 2 races to go, so everything can happen.
Well, you're perfect so far, so keep it up.
So much, thank you.
So we've got heat number 3 in. I can see we have a Michael Weddle in this one. I'm trying to have a look around. We've also got a Ryan Smith, Robin Kazam, I think, by the look of it. Back to you, James. This looks like it could be a good one.
Great stuff. Thank you, Carl. Well, we're really looking forward now to round 2, heat number 3. And here it comes now. They're leaving the pit lane. We're going to very quickly go through the runners in this one. We've got Nicole Egner, Michael Weddle, Marius Nowicki, Bjorn Vermeulen, Josh Nee, George Massey, Ryan Smith, Ross O'Mara, Fabian Siegman, and Dan Truman. Now, this is going to be very, very interesting indeed, because this could go in a variety of directions, I think. Do you know what? If his head's in the right place, if he can pull it off, it's not outside. Been an all-Scottish battle here between Michael Weddle and Ryan Smith, albeit Bjorn Vermeulen's going to have something to say about that.
Yeah, as will Siegmund, but yes, absolutely. Ryan Smith, very, very quick driver. Not getting the best result in this first heat. He's chasing points, will be desperate for a good one as well. I think we're in for a cracker here.
Absolutely. I'm James Auld, commentating for the BRKC. You're listening also to Jamie Henderson, who's competing in this championship as well. And down the pit lane, of course, we've got Kyle Power. And they're starting their qualifying laps now. We've got, of course, the 1 lap qualifying, and then they'll be put into grid order or starting order, single file positions there. The checker flag is coming out. Ross O'Mara has set a time. Josh Nee is fastest. Michael Weddle has gone quicker, so Michael provisionally on the pole position. Michael Weddle there, and he's been beaten by Nicole Egner, the European Ladies Champion, and Siegmund fastest. Siegmund and Bjorn Vermeulen and Dan Truman, and Michael Weddle's been pushed down the order. Gosh, he's going down, and Ryan Smith in 3rd place. But Nowicki is the one on pole position there. Marius Nowicki, the last driver out to qualify, is on the pole position there. And so Marius Nowicki is provisionally on pole there. All 33.2 for the first 2, and then 33.6. So a little bit of a jump there. Quite a surprise there, Jamie, to see such a jump, 2nd to 3rd.
Yeah, the big casualty there is probably Michael Weddle, you'd have to say, who's had a fantastic first result. I believe he got a 3rd place. But yeah, Siegmund, like we said, we need to watch out for him, and Nowicki right up there. It's going to be a good one.
Absolutely. So Michael Weddle elbowed down to 7th place, and Ross O'Mara in 9th, a former winner there. We'll see if he can move through the order. So it's Marius Nowicki who's going to be taking the start there, and we're looking there. That is actually Fabian Siegmund there in the white helmet with the yellow gloves on the screen. He's the young German, and so Siegmund, of course, has been he's a champion in Germany. He's also was competing in the Indoor European Championship in 2019. Behind him, though, that is Bjorn Vermeulen. And Bjorn Vermeulen has been around for ages, always a strong competitor. It's one of those travelling Europeans, and they come around now to take the start. It's going to be Marius Nowicki who's going to be taking the start there from 1st place. He's crossing the line, the start is good, and the race is on. They're into that hairpin, and this already seems to be a little bit closer than the previous race. They're working out from that and heading on down to another hairpin. On screen there, you can see it's Mariusz Nowicki who's turning in first, and he has got Siegmann behind him. Now, Siegmann, we saw, a bit of pushing and shoving at the back there. There's some change of position. We'll see how that works out and when they cross the line for the timing later on. So, into this corner at the end of the back stretch, round this long right-hander, and it's still Nowicki who's going to cross the line in first place. Cross the line now in first place, Mariusz Nowicki from Fabian Siegmann. Bjorn Vermeulen is still in third. He's in third place, Jamie, but we can't discount Bjorn Vermeulen from this at all, can we?
Can't discount any of the top four at this point, yeah. Just wanted to see if Michael Weddle's made that much progress. Yep, there he goes, just made a move into the snail sections. He's moved up into what I believe to be P7. So still there's some work to do there, but hopefully with that clean track ahead of him, he could still be a part of the battle for the win.
Yes, he could. Michael Weddle definitely could, and he's making places up bit by bit. It's, well, everyone's saying sort of similar sort of distance away from each other. That looks like Ryan Smith. Yeah, he's in fourth place. No, Ryan Smith in fourth place. He has won at BRKC level in the pits.
And we have our first pitter. It is Josh Nye. Josh Nye has come straight in from that midfield battle, and again, we've seen quite a lot of early pitters in this championship. It's worked out for some, not for others.
Yeah, that's right. Josh Nye, I wonder why he's sort of really wanted to come in that early, but we'll see. We'll see what his plan was. He obviously feels he's been held up, and so it might well prove to be the case. So crossing the line there, it's Nowicki who's definitely not coming into the pits. We've still kind of got a lot less early pit visitors on this format. Do you think, Jamie, is there a case of the fact it's not the layout that promotes early pit stops and that sort of randomness thrown in by an early pit stop, or is it just that we haven't seen it happen yet?
I think for a lot of it, the drivers just want to acclimatise to this new circuit, and if you pit early and then you come out in clear air, yes, that might be good, but also you're not copying anybody, you're not learning what they know that you don't. So one of the reasons we're seeing long trains of Kart here is everyone's getting quicker as they just learn where they're a little bit slower than other drivers. It's a really interesting dynamic that opens up, but it does mean we get a lot of late pit stops. That's what we saw in the previous 2 heats as well.
Well, there's a really good insight there from Jamie Henderson. Jamie, of course, is competing in this championship. He's going to be in action in a couple of heats' time, so we'll be looking out for him there. But as he says, basically, people are just sort of feeling their way through it. And one very interesting point we brought up, especially at the level we're operating from, people are actually seeing what others know and figure out for themselves. So certainly the one who seems to know the most at the moment is Mariusz Nowicki, who's still in the lead there with Siegmann and Vermeulen. Now, there's an ever so slight gap opening up behind Vermeulen to Ryan Smith, and Vermeulen is starting to put the pressure on Siegmann. Siegmann, of course, we know is a real little expert. He's come over from Germany for this, part of Eco Racing Team 2. In fact, his Eco Racing Team 2 teammate, Nicole Egner, she's down in 5th place for this one. In fact, there's been a pass for position there, and it is Bjorn Vermeulen. He's moved up a place.
Yeah, absolutely, really, really good move. We just missed it into the hairpin there. I think the cameras did pick it up, though. Very, very smart. Now it's all about seeing whether he's got the pace to take on Nowicki.
Yeah, because the gap has actually opened up slightly, and Vermeulen is the one who's kind of tasked now with closing it down. Nowicki may be aware that he's got a bit of a bigger gap. He's probably kind of looking out the corner of his eye to look through some of the tighter turns. But this time, instead of it being Siegmann who's on his tail, the German, he's got Vermeulen, the Belgian, after him. And here they come round. We can see them in almost a change position there. Ryan Smith is getting well into this mix. Ryan Smith there in 4th place is looking more and more convincing. There's a long way to go in this race. Bjorn Vermeulen is 2nd with a bit of a gap there. He's trying to make up. It's going to be harder for him to do it because he's not leaving Siegmann, and more seriously, he's got Ryan Smith there. There's Michael Weddle, we just saw coming into picture. He's 7th, but seems to be making up a bit of time. Jamie, it's looking good for Nowicki at the moment, but maybe Vermeulen, if he can just get things settled down around him, can start making inroads.
Yeah, we now have a 6-car battle for the lead here as well. It is really bunching up there, and now we're starting to think, well, who is going to be the first to blink? Who now feels like they know enough about this circuit to box, come out in clear air, and then still find more lap time? It's going to be really interesting to see. I think Michael Weddle is starting to apply the pressure a little bit. He's still a 10th off the pace of the leaders, but if they start battling, he is going to be in that fight as well.
And as you say, it is effectively a bit of a 6-car scrap. There's a slight gap there, but when you look at it, it's just looking a bit further back, Nicole Egner in 5th is trying to hold off Dan Truman, who's in 6th. Now, if those two just keep sort of plugging away and not fighting each other, they may actually make this a 6-way fight. In the pits.
Yep, in the pits we have number 14, that's Fabian Seigman out of 3rd place. So Milan got past him, he's decided to pit out of that and try and get some clear air. Now, this is crucial as he comes out. He comes out just behind the number 8, Ross O'Mara, who hasn't pitted yet. So that has not worked out for Seigman at all.
Well, that's very interesting, Kyle. I mean, to be honest with you, you've got to say it's a bit of a gutsy move. He has actually done it, though, hasn't he? He's managed to make the move on O'Mara, which O'Mara is normally a pretty racy guy. I'm surprised he's sort of been able to do it that easy. But certainly Seigman felt that he was going to be making better ground there by coming in. We'll see if that really is the case now, because luckily he's been able to get ahead of Ross O'Mara, because when I saw that O'Mara passed him, I thought, gosh, you're in trouble now, pal. And it did seem to be, well, this is going to be one of those strategies that either plainly works or plainly doesn't. Jamie, I can't really see any reason just to give himself some kind of different thing to look at.
So if I could just butt in, it was an extremely...
Sorry, we've got Carl getting in.
Sorry, it was an extremely gutsy move, considering that Seigman pitted out of 1st and put himself from 1st to 3rd in his previous heat from pitting early. So he's clearly forgotten about that or hasn't learnt the lesson. So he's clearly extremely confident of his pace.
Yeah, so with a history of making a monkeys of it, he's actually rolled the dice again. So we'll see how that shapes up. Jamie, this is either going to work for him or it's not, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure what point Carl made there, because I can't quite make it out, but I'm sure it was brilliant and insightful.
It was the point that in the first race, he tried a sort of radical strategy and ended up 3rd instead of 1st.
We have Daniel Truman in the pits.
Very apt point to make.
Yep, so we've got Daniel Truman in the pits, and he comes out just behind Ross O'Mara.
Well, that's going to be interesting, because another person's got to pass Ross O'Mara. Now, Ross O'Mara is a pretty racy dude. We have seen him win a BRKC race, and he's really here for the action, and he's not going to make it easy for Dan Truman. Now, Dan Truman is, of course, one of the more capable drivers. I mean, everyone's capable here, but Dan Truman really does have the ability to do something.
And we have
one in.
Yep, we have Nicole. We have Nicole Egner in, and she was in a battle, and she's going to come out right into that O'Mara battle, and she's going to fit in between the two of them.
No, she's lost a place to Dan Truman. Dan Truman's gone up the inside, and Nicole Egner is the big loser there. But Egner and Truman, well, they obviously weren't aware, with it being the new format, that where they would come out, which would be right behind Ross O'Mara, and that has arguably really hurt both of them. It depends. I mean, if O'Mara comes in now, great news. If not, they're just going to lose time on the leaders, because I don't think O'Mara is quite on their pace, but O'Mara isn't and doesn't have to let anybody through. He's perfectly, within his rights to hold on to his position. So if he pits soon, great news for them. If he doesn't, they're going to have to race Ross O'Mara. And as we've said before, Jamie, Ross O'Mara is a pretty racy dude, isn't he?
He absolutely is, yeah. And I mean, depending on how pit stops work out here, you can definitely make a case for 6 different drivers winning this race. We've got Nowicki, Vermeulen, Smith, Seigman, Egner and Truman all in with a chance here, just depending on what falls their way and what pit strategies are available.
We have Weddle in. Michael Weddle is in the pits. So it's in the 15. So he's been steadily trying to work his way up from a disastrous qualifying by his standards. He's going to come out behind Egner, and he's going to fit in. He's going to come out just behind Massey. Oh no, he just got ahead. So that looks like it's worked out okay for Weddle. He's trying to salvage something from a disastrous qualifying by his standards.
Yeah, Michael Weddle we saw a little bit down the order after the qualifying. He's moved up forward, and now he's lost a bunch of places, but there are still some pit stops to be made, so this may shake out. Plus, Michael, he's very experienced. He does have what it takes to get past people. Now, that's interesting, because, well, in fact, he's in the pits. Ross O'Mara now.
Yep, so O'Mara's in the pits now. Yep. Number 8, and he is followed in by 17, George Massey, who absolutely clouts the barriers. And so O'Mara gets his pit stop correct this time. No mistakes this time around. And Massey is still getting used to his pit stop system again. He's new to this venue. He hasn't had a chance to practice this at all. And he's going to come out right near the leaders, but he recognises what's going on.
And you've got another one in, Vermeulen.
Yep, it's Vermeulen in. I missed that coming in. That looked like an extremely fast stop. That looked very good, and he comes out just behind number 14,
Siegmann, Fabian Siegmann has managed to leapfrog Vermeulen in the pits. Now that's exactly what he wanted. Remember, Vermeulen passed him on merit, but now Siegmann's come back at him with a better pit stop, and that really has helped the German there. That was pretty impressive. That's what a pit stop's all about, to be fair there, Jamie.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very good strategy there. And I would actually predict that he's going to come out ahead in the wiki as well. If Vermeulen was all over the race leader when he came in for his pit stop, and he was actually passed fairly comfortably there, so I'd be very surprised if he was able to hold on to his lead.
Your opinion, Jamie? We've got Ryan Smith now in second place. Yes, he's yet to make a pit stop, but are things looking good for him, do you feel?
He's doing exactly the right thing. All Ryan needs to do is keep pumping the laps that he is, let everybody else do their pit stops. Hopefully they come out side by side, start fighting, then he might be able to jump forward, and that's got to be what he's aiming for.
Yeah, because he was, it almost feels as if he's actually closer to Mariusz Nowicki than he was when he was battling with the others, and now he's got some clear space. Maybe he's making some slight inroads. We're just going to have a look at the screen there. Yeah, he's a little bit slower. The fastest lap so far by anybody in this race has been 32.7. That's Siegmann running third. Obviously he's being chased down by Vermeulen, who's also equally close on time. But certainly Ryan Smith is potentially looking good for. Again, we're going to have to see after that pit stop. What we don't want to see from Smith is a huge loss of time. He certainly looks like he could come out in front of Dan Truman, though, when you look at the actual, 10. Here he is now.
It's Ryan Smith. Ryan Smith is in the pits. So he's staying out as late as he can to try and jump. So there goes Siegmann. There goes Vermeulen. Looks like Smith's going to come out clearly behind Vermeulen. So I think that's going to be a net fourth position.
Yes, crucially though, he's come out a long way ahead of Dan Truman. Now, Ryan Smith, he used to kart an awful lot, but now very little karting. He focuses more on car racing. He's been racing minis, been racing in the Citroen C1 Championship up in Scotland there. And so if anyone's going to know their way around Knockhill, it's him. But certainly Ryan Smith is coming out in fourth place there, and that's actually going to be a pretty good result. I think he would be pleased with that behind Vermeulen and Siegmann and Nowicki. Yeah, so Ryan Smith, he's crossing the line now. I think we can consider that a decent result there for Ryan these days.
Yeah, done deal. P4 you would look like. Dan Truman is very quick, but with a 4-second gap, I don't think he's going to make that up. If we just have a look at the gaps though for pit stops, Nowicki is actually going to lose out to Vermeulen. Looking at this, they were obviously fighting over the lead, but the gap is now 9.7 seconds, and unless it's the quickest pit stop we've ever seen from Nowicki, it probably won't be enough.
And worse than that, if he's going to lose out to Vermeulen, that also means he's going to lose out to Siegmann as well. So it's looking very good indeed for Fabian Siegmann, and he's just got 7 seconds between him and the leader. He has made a pit stop, so is Bjorn Vermeulen, and they're within this magical 10 seconds that we sort of look for in someone losing in a pit stop. So really, Nowicki needs to get his foot down now. He's got to make 3 seconds up in the time remaining and then make his pit stop. He certainly really, if he comes out behind them, that's race lost. So he's got to actually go for the long stint now. He's going to have to really pit at the end of this because, we have been saying how he's going to lose out to Vermeulen, but also that means Siegmann as well. So is that 13? Yeah, that's Nowicki who's in the lead there. We're looking in now on screen. He's coming down the backstretch. There he is. Now this is the real time lead that he's got. So you can see it's the entire length of that straight. There he is, Mariusz Nowicki, the Polish driver, and he's turning into that final corner. He's going to put another lap in. He could have pitted there, but he didn't. He obviously has seen the situation. He knows what the gap's going to be, and he's probably going to stay out for the long run. In other words, that means pitting as late as possible in the race. Siegmann comes through, and there's Bjorn Vermeulen. They're the ones he's worried about. He's got to bring that gap to over 10 seconds, and it's going to be very difficult to. He's almost got it there with Bjorn Vermeulen, because he must have gone faster again there, because he's now 9.3 ahead of Vermeulen, so he might just be on from being safe with Vermeulen, but Siegmann has definitely got to be dangerous. It's less than 8 seconds there, Jamie.
Yeah, Siegmann's got this wrapped up in my opinion. I really don't see how that's going to fall away from him now. I actually think Vermeulen is looking fairly safe in second place as well, but we'll have to wait and see. I just saw Nowicki give a nod to somebody on the pit lane, so that might mean that he's in this lap. We shall see.
It could well do, and of course that person in the pit lane would probably have a better idea what's going on. Dan Truman and Nicole Egner have swapped places. Nicole has got through ahead of Dan Truman in their battle for 5th. But really, it's all eyes on Nowicki at the moment. Here he is on screen. There's Mariusz Nowicki. Will he come in? Will he come in? No,
he doesn't.
No, Carl, you're going to have to wait longer to talk through that pit stop, which is only, well, it's going to be within the next 5 minutes, so probably he's got about an 8-lap window. It's 9.1 seconds, so he's lost a fraction of time to Bjorn Vermeulen. Marius Nowitzki is looking very, very vulnerable here. This lead is not looking convincing at all.
I take back everything I said about Seidman's decision-making earlier. It looks like this time pitting early has been a masterstroke, because Nowitzki has been out in the lead, Seidman's pitted early. I think, did he pit from 3rd place? And it looks like he's catapulted himself into the winning position. So yeah, eat my words.
Basically what happened there was Vermeulen passed Siegmann on the track, and then almost straight away Siegmann came in. He took himself away from everything, you know, and actually put himself at risk with people slower than him. But as it turned out, he was able to get through, and people pitted, all this kind of thing. He managed to come out of the pit stop sequence ahead of Vermeulen, which was crucial, because now he has the chance to just keep that gap. In fact, he's come down
and
again.
Nowitzki is in.
He's got to lose the lead.
It looks like so. Yeah, he's doing the double pedalling in the pit stop. He's scared of it. Yep, here comes Siegmann, goes through, and here comes Vermeulen. He's going to lose the lead by quite a long way, but it's a clear 3rd place.
Well, he's going to come under threat from Ryan Smith, because look at this. Smith has got momentum on him. It's down to this hairpin, and it looks like, well, he's definitely got away with it, Nowitzki, and in fact, I think he's pretty lucky to be that far ahead of Ryan Smith. If this had been the other layout with the snail section, Smith would have had an awful lot more momentum for an awful lot longer, and I think Nowitzki will be in danger of losing 3rd place to him.
Yeah, it'll be a funny one. He'll come out the pits and see the 2 guys ahead and wonder how that has happened, because he's raced, in theory, a perfect race. He got pole position, he's had really good pace throughout. Other guys behind him will have boxed and they'll be thinking he's in a great position. Comes out and thinks, how on earth has that happened? But there you go, P3, and he's now going to have to hold on from Ryan, who has put in some decent laps as well.
Well, Marius Nowitzki is, you know, his place in, you know, as an international driver and a world-level driver is beyond question. And this ability to put those perfect laps in, he's been very, very consistent. There was nothing wrong with his pit stop, really. And now he finds himself in 3rd place when he was leading. And there he is on screen again. This is Marius Nowitzki we're talking about now, the Polish driver. He's not done anything wrong, but such is the calibre of the opposition and what the likes of Fabian Siegmann and Bjorn Vermeulen are actually throwing at him, and the demands being made, is that you can get bundled back really for no fault. You know, he's just been outraced. That's all there is to it. It's these tiny little fractions here, there and everywhere. He's not doing anything wrong at all. It's just that those other 2 have gone faster over the race distance, and it'll be one of those situations. I'm sure he'll be saying, well, I don't know how that one got away, but it did.
Yeah, absolutely. And Vermeulen's actually flying now as well, so even he will be thinking, was this a winnable race? But all 4 of the top drivers really have driven perfectly. It's very difficult to work out how someone can drive as faultlessly as Ryan has, for instance, and still not find himself on the podium.
And that's the killer of this kind of level of racing. It's so easy to think, well, it's an indoor kart race, you know, people who slip and slide and bumping and boring, but it just doesn't happen. I mean, we've had almost no collisions. You know, there's been no accidents. There have been only 2 times that the marshals have actually had to do anything at all. And we're what? 13 races into this gig. And, you know, and each race is a long one. You know, it's not, I mean, gosh, it's not a 10-lapper. It's, you know, getting on for, you know, half an hour. It's like 30-odd laps. We're 32 laps in, and that's a long way by any standards. So it's, it really is, it says a lot about the standard of the competition. We've got all of our pit stops being made now, haven't we? So we're just really waiting for this one to wind down. Fabian Siegmann, the German, you know, he was the European indoor champion, as we know, and he's just really, he got the job done, especially against the likes of Bjorn Vermeulen. You know, it really is something. And Marius Nowitzki himself doing great. Ryan Smith, really good to see him up in 4th place, because Nicole Egner, she's new to us this year, but we know a lot about her. She's done brilliantly out in Europe. Dan Truman, Michael Weddell, these are not small names, are they? And obviously Josh and I, and then we've got Ross Amara, who's actually a BRKC heat race winner. He's half a minute back. That's nearly a lap down as they come into what was probably going to be starting the final lap now for Fabian Siegmann. That's it, the German begins what we're expecting to be maybe the penultimate lap, probably, or maybe the last lap. We'll soon see. But we'll keep an eye out for that one. Meanwhile, further back, Nicole Egner's hanging on to 5th place. She's not under threat, but certainly under a degree of pressure not to muck it up by Dan Truman. And there's Bjorn Vermeulen in picture there. And that is Mariusz Nowicki, who we've been watching for so long. And so there's Nowicki. He continues in third. We saw he was leading. There's Ryan Smith. Now, Ryan Smith looks to have actually closed in a bit. He's only 7 seconds behind the winner. There's Egner and Dan Truman. And then it's going to be Michael Weddle. There's Michael Weddle, well-known Scotsman. And then it's Josh Knight. And surely this is the final lap now. They're bringing out the checker. It's going to be Siegmund's race. Fabian Siegmund, the German, is going to take this one. And he's in the number 14. There he is. He's coming around the final corner now. And we're looking at Nowicki on screen. But Siegmund has taken the flag. And Vermeulen's going to take second place. And on screen now we've got... oh, he's gone off screen. There's Nowicki taking third place. Ryan Smith there in fourth. Nicole Egner is going to come through in fifth. Surely, yes, she is. Ahead of Dan Truman, who's in sixth. And there's Michael Weddle, who's been well, really quite up and down in that race, hasn't he? We've seen him at the middle, in the front, in the back, and everywhere. So, and then Nee and Hamara and Massey bringing up the rear. So, really an interesting one, and a bit of a surprise that Nowicki lost it, to be fair.
Yeah, if you told me sort of 5 minutes into that race that wasn't going to go his way, I would have been very, very surprised. But you can't take anything for granted in this competition. You know, Michael Weddle's been on the podium today. He's won many races in this competition, down in sevens.
And clearly no obvious area where Nowicki lost that, but he lost it badly enough to not just lose the lead, but come third. Kyle, we're going to go down to you in the pit lane now. Do your stuff. There's going to be probably some interesting tales from this one.
Yes, I've managed to... they've all agreed, so I've got Sigmund has agreed for an interview, Bjorn Vermeulen and Ryan Smith I will have as well.
How did you arrange that when they haven't even got out the carts? Well done, my friend.
Pointing, waving, and lots of eyebrow raising. That could be quite alluring if I need to. So I'm just going to let them get weighed up and come in. I'm going to hopefully be able to grab Ryan pretty soon because he doesn't need to weigh because he's in fourth. So I'm going to get Ryan's coming over to myself now. Come and let him get his helmet off. Hi, brilliant. So I'm down here with Ryan Smith with an extremely hard-fought fourth place. How was that for you, Ryan?
Yeah, I think I kind of messed up the strategy a bit. I wasn't too far off the pace. I wasn't quite consistent enough, but I think I should have pitted earlier. I think it's, I don't know his name, is it Fabian that was in third? He pitted early. I thought I could maybe stay out, and if they all pitted early and maybe started fighting, they could hold each other up a bit, but that didn't happen. But I should have pitted a wee bit earlier, but I was trying to monitor Mariusz as well when he was coming around to the end, but it was just got out ahead. Couldn't catch him near the end.
About another 5 laps, you could have maybe had Mariusz.
Maybe we were kind of doing similar times. It was just that little bit too far. I think it was about a second and a half he had. I wasn't really closing that down.
Okay, but good performance nonetheless. Well done.
Yeah, it's better than this morning, so I'll take it.
Very good. Well done, mate. It's going to get race winner Fabian Sigmund. So the early pit stop worked for you this time.
Yeah, I think it's not common to pit early, but it worked for me luckily. I saw that I have kind of a window with no karts on the track, so I could just drive my lap times, and it worked out well. I'm very happy.
Yeah, great drive. You had stunning pace there, so you were very unlucky in your previous race. You pitted from first, ended up in third, but this one you played it absolutely perfectly and great pace to secure the win. You must be extremely happy, man.
Yeah, thanks. I'm very happy. I think, of course, in the first heat it was kind of unlucky with the yellow flag, but I think overall you can't say that I'm unlucky. So in the first heat I had a very fast kart, and in this heat I had again a very good kart. So I think I can be happy right now.
Okay, brilliant. Go and enjoy it. Superb. I'm just going to get the second place. Bjorn Vermeulen. Bjorn, looked like an extremely tough fight out there. Did you think that you had a good chance of winning that race?
I messed up my qualifying. I went full throttle immediately, and after a few turns I saw that the guy in front of me, he was waiting. So I had to wait, but the guy behind me was gaining space on me, so I did my qualifying. I bumped the guy in front of me, so I lost 2-3 tenths for sure. So I might have been first in qualifying, but afterwards, if you see the lap times, I'm pretty sure being P1 or 2 would have been very close for sure if I would have been qualifying in first. I'm happy with second. I made a good pass. It was close, but it was a good pass, and after that, yeah, just damage control.
Brilliant. Great drive. Well done.
Thank you.
Back to you, James.
Okay, so you join us as qualifying laps are underway, in fact completed now for heat race number 4 of the second round. And in this race we've got a really exciting lineup. Ramon Pinero has just been pipped for provisional pole position by Matt Barsh, and Jeff Lund has come through into third place, the American. Of course, he picked up a penalty in the previous race for leaving the pit stop too late, which was a bit of a killer for him. Bringing up the rear there is Gareth Jones. He's just the final qualifier into 6th place then. So Matt Barsh is on the pole position for this one from the Spaniard. Ramon Pinero. Jeff Lund, the American, is in 3rd. Philippe Denous is in 4th. Scott McIntyre 5th. That's a good one from Scott McIntyre. And Gary Jones 6th. Now, really in this race, they're the ones, obviously, you know, Matt Barsh, we've seen him win at this sort of level and higher, and also, you know, the World Championships. Also, Ramon Pinero as well, the Spanish driver. But, well, it's going to be a very interesting one with 3rd place Jeff Lund, a driver we've not seen before. Obviously, on paper, this is going to be a battle between Barsh and Pinero. Maybe Lund has got something to say about this as well, Jamie.
Don't count Lund out. He was in my heat earlier. He's very, very fast driver from the USA. Really nice guy as well. Yeah. Interesting fact. Yeah, he's a really, really nice guy. But Matt Barsh, I expect to win this one. But again, we'll see. Absolutely. Well, Matt Barsh is about to lead them round to make the start as they come through the final couple of corners, building up speed. But Barsh has actually got to contain that speed. He's got to make him pretty even for the getaway. When's he going to go? He's going now. He's got Ramon Pinero right in his tail, of course, into this first hairpin. Cutting a bit tight, actually, you know, coming in from the inside there rather than to the outside, the normal racing line. He's obviously worried about Pinero. Obviously, everyone will be, because Pinero will take a shot at anything he can see, Jamie. Yeah, he will, absolutely spot on. As we've seen a few times already today, though, it's just about trying to stick with the leader at this phase of the race. See what he knows about the circuit that you don't. Try and stick with him, and then that's when you can evaluate when you can go for a move or try the undercut.
Absolutely, and you know, it's only been the supremely ambitious, such as Siegman, that we've just seen, the ones who are supremely strategy ambitious, should I say, that have actually gone for that early pit stop. As you say, it's because they just want to stay in the pack and learn as much as they can from everybody. There's plenty of time. It's important not to rush it, I guess, Jamie, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. It's just about finding that rhythm if you possibly can on a new circuit that the vast majority of drivers out there don't actually know. Just having a look out my window, it looks like the top two are breaking away from Jeff Lund ever so slightly. Denous and McIntyre actually right on the tail of Jeff Lund as well. We didn't really talk about Scott McIntyre that much before the start of this race, but he's another one who's very, very quick on his day.
Yeah, he's definitely new, and he's definitely showing us something very good, is Scott McIntyre, because, you know, he was the, you know, he's been racing cars, and we've got one in the pits already.
Team, which is Ben Churchill, has come in immediately. I think he qualified last, so he just wants to get himself out of that and put some clean laps in.
Yeah, well, Ben Churchill rolling the dice. Obviously, that does mean that if he needs to, he can't use that pit stop later on, but anyone who comes in or into the pits will come out either before or after him, and he'll be able to see that, and he'll have a truer reflection of how his race is actually going. And another one in.
Well, we've got another one in. That is number 14. That is number 14, who is Matthew Clark. That is Matthew Clark. I should have recognised him from his suit. That's Twigs 65. He is otherwise known as, and he comes out ahead of Churchill. So we've got two extremely early pitters.
That's right, and correct me if I'm wrong, but is he not a teammate of Greg Smith that we were talking about earlier on?
Yes, I believe he is. AOA Racing.
Yeah, that's it. So they are obviously trying to get whatever results they can and get points on the board. So Matt Clark has come in. He has come out ahead of Ben Churchill. So Ben Churchill, the first pitter, has actually had Matt Clark, the second pitter, come out in front of him. In fact, there they are now. So there's Matt Clark just crossing the line out the window here. But we're on screen, we're looking at Matt Barsh. Now, look at this European lean. This is typical of this kind of thing. Matt Barsh is not the tallest of drivers, because he's leaning out. His shoulders are leaning over. He's really trying to work that cart through the corner, put the weight to the outside. As you can see just there, he's not leaning in, he's leaning out. And that's giving more grip to that outside wheel, helps the cart rotate in the mid-corner. It's very easy to get a lot of understeer, and it's working, because he and Pinero are pulling away from Jeff Lund, the American. And there's Lund we can see behind, and Lund has got Denous. Something about Scott McIntyre, Jamie, is Scott McIntyre, a really good performance here. He's not been left at all, is he?
He's not, no, and he's he's probably looking at Deneuve thinking he can probably make a move at some point during the course of this race, but he'll also be having one eye over that as well on Jeff Lund, who has just started a gap then as well. And he'll be thinking if he wants a podium, he's probably going to have to try something quite quickly on the man in P4 at the moment.
Absolutely, and Scott, not a known karter really. He did karting years ago, but certainly not the indoor variety, which is his own speciality. Last year he was the junior saloon car champion, so he's a very young guy. He was the champion last year, so clearly he can drive, but it's a bit of a different sort of concept, and he's certainly adapting to it very well. He's in the top half, he's in 5th place, and he's working, trying to work down Philippe Deneuve, who's a very experienced competitor in front of him. Of course, both of them are after Jeff Lund, and up in front of that, there's the leader, Matt Barsh and Ramon Pinero. They're crossing the line. There they are on screen. So there's Barsh, there's Pinero, the Polish driver versus the Spaniard. Bit of a gap, and then it's Lund. So Lund, the American, there he is coming through. And then there's McIntyre in 5th place. We just saw a glimpse of him, the one we were just talking about. Philippe Deneuve is the one he's chasing down. Really, we're probably looking at a likely win from one of these first 2 positions here, Barsh and Pinero. With the best will in the world with Lund, it's a bit hard to consider Lund, but only because we don't really know him, Jamie.
Yeah, he's also doing a really good job, though, of pulling away from the 2 behind him. He looked under quite a lot of pressure a couple of laps ago, and now he is as close to the back of Ramon as sort of Deneuve and McIntyre are at the back of him. So if he just keeps his head down, he's hopefully looking at the first podium in the BRKC, which would be a heck of a result.
Yeah, it would be, and it will certainly be something for him to add to his credentials. He was obviously featured in the World Championship last year, which was held in Charlotte, North Carolina, in the USA, obviously his home country, and that's inspired him to sort of come out to Europe a bit more this year, and he's starting that campaign here in the UK with the British Rental Kart Championship. We'll have to speak to him at some point. Maybe Carl can get hold of him or whatever, and see what his overall plans are later in the year. But certainly he's looking good here in the UK, justified his visit on this third position alone so far. Needless to say, he left it a little bit too late to make the piss on that you were up against him with, much to your pleasure, I'm sure, because obviously that helped you. But Jamie Henderson here, who was competing against him in the earlier heat race. But overall, your impression of him, Jamie, has been good so far. We're talking about Jeff Lund, of course, the new American driver.
Yeah, I was very grateful for him making that mistake, because I had a really bad heat and I could do with every point he could give me. He will be kicking himself about that, though. He's probably got more pace than he realised, and he'll be thinking if he could have got a 3rd in this, I believe a 5th that was taken away from him because of his pit stop, he would be knocking on the door of semi-finals for those kind of results. So he'll be happy in a lot of ways, but a little bit frustrated, I would imagine, as well.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there, because coming up next, we've got potentially one of the worst heats of the day in terms of, well, worst heats if you're driving in it, best heat for us, because it's just going to be ridiculous in the lineup. And I'm sure that Matt Barsh and Ramon Pinero there are very pleased that they didn't actually end up one heat later on. They are now fighting for the lead, and when we see the lineup, you'll all realise when I say they could easily fight for last. Have we got someone in the pits? Yes, we have.
Yes, we do. We've got number 21, which is Andy Hewitt, which is into the pits. Number 14 goes through. Andy Hewitt coming out of the pits, it looks thing, and is coming up to Ben Churchill. He's going to get out just ahead, but it's going to get pretty tight into the first turn.
Yes, he is, but he's able to hold on simply because of that hairpin. Jamie, again, going back to you on this one, another example of, had this been the original snail format, he could have lost a place there, couldn't he?
Yeah, so the reason we were talking about for that exact reason was if you carry more speed into the snail section on the traditional layout, you have a much better chance of overtaking. Even if you come out of the pits more or less just behind somebody, or rather just ahead of somebody, it's quite difficult to hold on to that position because of the momentum normally. Whereas here you've got to slow down so quickly, it's a lot more difficult to make that opening.
Absolutely, because the momentum is there for much longer, isn't it? I mean, it's like, must be about 4 times the distance, because as soon as you cross the line, you're getting ready to go on the brakes for the hairpin. With the revised layout and the original snail, you'd be carrying it around literally 4 times as long. Obviously, it doesn't really matter. It means that sometimes people, it's their benefit, sometimes it's not, which is why we've got the revised layout. But certainly another very lucky situation there for someone coming out of the pits. In this case, it was Andy Hewitt. Now, there's the battle for the lead. It's very, very close still. Certainly, Pinero, well, you would never, ever accuse Matt Barsh of actually holding anyone up. That's certainly the most stupid thing in the world to say. However, Ramon Pinero is looking very convincing at actually sitting there in that 2nd place. Maybe it will be wrong to pit, because it might well be that Barsh is keeping him exactly where he is, and just wait till I clear the others.
He's just gone for a move, so I'd have to disagree with you there, James. He's just taken the lead. Looked clean from here, but we didn't have the best angle of it. Certainly there's no hands flailing from Matt Bosch, so it looks like it was a clean move. If Ramon's got the pace to pull away now, he's just won the race.
Absolutely, and there's commentator's curse right there, isn't it? As soon as I'm talking about whether Pinheiro can pit stop his way past, he makes the move and does it on there. Of course, Ramon Pinheiro, we know he's a sort of gutsy, fighty kind of driver in the Sam Spitz Ghostland sort of mould, and well, he's just proved it there, hasn't he? Now, it's interesting because he actually seems to be edging away a bit from Matt Bosch, even though it's not been long since he passed him. Matt Bosch, of course, is a fairly convincing couple of seconds, second and a half plus above, in front of Jeff Lund, and then, the bigger gap then to Philippe Deneuve and Scott McIntyre. But it's going to be interesting if these two leaders can actually pull away now that it's Ramon heading away. Will he pull Matt Bosch with him? Matt Bosch has got the speed all day long, but now he's chasing Pinheiro rather than being in front of him. Maybe he'll be faster as well. Have a quick look at the times. Matt Bosch is still listed as being the quickest on the track, just 32.8. What I was saying earlier on about will we see on the revised layout getting down into the 31s, it doesn't really look like it's going to happen now, does it?
It doesn't look that way. One thing I have been very interested in is the way Ramon was driving behind Matt Bosch. It looked like he had enough pace to walk away with it quite comfortably. As soon as Matt has someone to follow, all of a sudden Ramon doesn't seem to have that pace advantage, so this is going to go right down to the wire.
Yeah, they're clearly sort of matching each other for times. They are edging away from Jeff Lund. I mean, when we see on the screen, particularly in some of the hairpin shots we get where they're all constantly up, Jeff Lund does look actually remarkably close to them. But when we look at the actual timing, we've got, the leader plus half a second to second place, and then nearly 2 seconds off the leader is third. But it just doesn't look that way on the screen when we're in the hairpins. Now, here are the two leaders, you see what I mean? So there's first, there's second, but there's third. So Jeff Lund is really in visual contact from his point of view. Whether or not he can make inroads, he seems to be actually falling back. Oh, we've got someone in the pits, Carl.
Yep, we've got Scott McIntyre, the number 20 in the pits. Now, he wasn't that far away from Deneuve, who in turn isn't that far away from Lund, who in turn isn't that far away from Matt Bosch, so he can be considered one of the lead group. And he comes out in clear air and is ahead of Matthew Clark and is completely on his own. So he's got a clear track ahead of him. If he was hiding some pace, it's now time to show it, because he could have a chance of jumping guys ahead.
Yeah, and obviously you can see on his overalls there as he was leaving the pits, Scott McIntyre is part of the well-known saloon car racing crew of Team Hard. They've got lots of cars out in a variety of different championships, including touring car. So obviously Scott McIntyre is probably one of the few with ambitions beyond this, because for most of these guys, this is the height of the glory they're going to get. Admittedly, Scott McIntyre, if he was to win the title, is probably never going to win more money for investment on entry in any other form of motor racing he's ever going to do, including touring car, over what he would win for this. For a less than 200 quid entry, he's chasing 1,000 quid. That's like at least 5 times profit. Well, 400% profit there, really, isn't it? So and he's not going to do that in touring car. He's going to spend a little bit more to what they give out in prize money. Anyway, meantime, certainly looking good for a shot at prize money is Ramon Pinheiro. Now, since overtaking Matt Bosch, he's not able to leave Bosch, and Bosch is certainly managing to stay with him. So far, fastest now is
and Bosch is
Jeff
in.
Lund.
Bosch is in. Bosch has pulled the pin and is going to go and try and jump Pinheiro in his pit stop. So Bosch with that distinctive lean forward style into his pit stops. Jury's out as to whether it does anything, and he's going to come out just ahead of the number 18. Just,
You know what we're going to say, Jamie? It's another example. Had there been that snail bit, he would have been under threat there. Now, what's interesting, Jamie, have a think about this. When it comes to these pit stops, we see the likes of Matt Bosch sort of well up out in the seat, well forward. Is it actually doing anything, or is it just giving him the feeling that he's doing everything he can to win?
I wish I knew the answer to that question. All I know is that I do the same. It does feel like you get a little bit more momentum at the One thing that is definitely worth taking note of here as well is, I did say at the start of the race, Jeff Lund, that gap is coming down. I said don't discount him for the victory. He's got into the groove now. He's really feeling what the track is offering him. And that gap to Ramon Pinheiro has gone down from 1.7 to 1.4 in the last 2 laps. So he is in it for the win as well. Interestingly,
Pinheiro hasn't decided to react to Bosch. And he goes round again. So he's obviously got extreme confidence in his pace. So I'm surprised he hasn't reacted there.
Well, that's interesting, Carl, and as Jamie's just been saying as well, the fact is that it seems whoever ends up second makes inroads on the leader. We saw Pinheiro, he made inroads on Bosch and overtook him. Bosch drop back and then claw back up on Pinero again, then pit him. Now Lund is close in, he's faster, even closer again. And in fact, it is Lund who's the fastest on the track as we speak. We're looking at Ramon Pinero, the Spanish driver, and there's Jeff Lund, the American, closing in on him. It's well, it was closer on that previous lap. What is it now? Well, 32.79. That's a new record for this race from Jeff Lund. Jeff Lund is now the fastest on the track. The American has set the new fastest lap for this particular race. It's 1.2 seconds. He's closing in on the race leader, Ramon Pinero from Barcelona. This isn't over yet for Jeff Lund by any stretch, Jamie.
It's absolutely not. I've got a massive smile on my face. I'm absolutely loving this race. Any one of the top three could still easily win this. What's going to be interesting is to see how quickly now Ramon blinks to try and cover off Matt Barsh. Because he is actually pulling Jeff Lund along a little bit as well, and it might be that if he boxes, Lund loses a bit of pace, but it's really coming down. It's gone down now from what was a 1.7 a few seconds ago with 1.1. He's not only the quickest on the track now, Jeff Lund, he's by a margin the quickest on the track. He's closer, he's much closer, his time is Jeff Lund, and it's incredible this because the one thing we mustn't forget is that at some point these two are going to come into the pits, and where will Barsh be when they do? Because Jeff Lund is now making that gap in the middle of them closer and closer. Ramon Pinero, arm in the air. He's coming to you, Carl, the race leader.
Yep, Pinero's in. Oh wow, that was nice. Very nicely done for the first thing. I think this is going to be a fast pit stop. He's going to go again. Oh, he's right pushing it, and it looks like he's done it. He's come out ahead of Barsh.
Yeah, he's definitely covered Matt Barsh there. That was the most sort of convincing pit exit we've seen on this revised layout. He didn't need the hairpin to hold Barsh up. Now, have you got London yet, or is he still out on the track? Because he seems to have disappeared.
Yep, Lund is still out. Lund is still out on the track, so I think he now has his eyes on a race win here. So he's going to stay out for as long as he can because he knows his pace is good. So I think he could catapult himself from third up into first here.
Yeah, well, last time he left it too late, and he's leaving it mighty late this time. Let's hope he realises that it's not the last lap he can come in. He's got to come in before that last lap. You know, it was a great result he lost before. Well, look at this, Pinero and Barsh, they're absolutely nose to tail. In fact, Pinero's having to get defensive into the hairpin there. Jamie, this is staggering. Now, will they hold each other up? Will that help Jeff Lund?
This is exactly the problem. So Matt Barsh is now the man with the most difficult decision to make because he can attack and try and get the position off Ramon, but if he does that, that is really going to open the door to Jeff Lund. If he sits there and leaves it, and Jeff still has the pace to jump both of them. Oh, we've got a penalty for Ramon Pinero. Oh, I've got no idea what that's for, but that is an absolute disaster for the Spaniard. James, do you want to...
Yep, I know what it is. It's a bad pass on the number 15 cart, and the number 15 cart is Matt Barsh. So somewhere along the line, there's been a bit of bumping and boring, and Pinero's picked up a penalty. Quite what that's going to be and quite how it's going to be imposed, we've yet to find out. But Barsh is all over the back because they did both seem to back off, and then they got racy, and that I think is obviously the backing off bit was probably Ramon being told he's got a penalty. Now, the only beneficiary here is going to be our friend Jeff Lund. He's yet to make that pit stop. He's going to have to make soon. Pinero, he's been given a bit of a penalty. Is that no? He's right. Talk us through this, Jamie. I know what to say, but I'm going to let you do it on this one.
Okay, so the gap now between Ramon Pinero and Jeff Lund is 9.7 seconds. That's only 3/10 off being well within the pit window for Jeff Lund to win again. And as we can see, Ramon's gone defensive down the back straight. There's a couple of tenths right there just for doing that. I think Jeff Lund is now in the seat he wants to be in to win this race. I think it's probably going to go his way now.
He is, but guess what? The fastest lap in the race now has gone to Matt Barsh and into the pits.
Yep, we have number 19, Carl Stevens, into the pits. It looks really good. That's heartbreaking for Pinero. I believe he had a similar disaster here a couple of years ago. But so that's Carl Stevens out the pits on his own. He's got lots and lots of clear air and is well ahead of
race leader Jeff Lund's in.
Yep, Lund is in. Oh, he cut that fine on the first thing. Oh no, it's a slow stop. It's okay, and he's followed in by the number 13, which is Philip Deneuve as well. So Lund actually had a slow stop. It's going to make this really close.
And it's incredible as he comes out of the pits. It's Jeff Lund who gets in between the two. There was no space, but he's made space. And Matt Barsh has come through in the lead. It's Matt Barsh, the Polish driver, leading from the American Jeff Lund and the Spaniard Ramon Pinero. Now, Jeff Lund, thank goodness for that hairpin. That saved him big time there. Because Jeff Lund, it wasn't the greatest pit stop in the world, it has to be said, but at least it was a legal pit stop this time. And Pinero down the inside. Now Pinero's already in trouble for a bad pass. Is he going to get whinged out for this one?
We've got Gary Jones in the pits. Let's see where he feeds out. He's going to try to come out right behind McIntyre. So he's going to be pressurising McIntyre right to the finish.
Yeah, Gary Jones, he pitted from the lead. It looked like he was going to come out in 4th place, but just as he was leaving the pits, he got nailed by Philippe Deneuve and Scott McIntyre, and that has cost Gary Jones. He'll be pretty disappointed with that one when he sees where he was. Now, Ramon Pinheiro is going to come under pressure. Only a minute and a half left in this race. He's going to come under pressure from Jeff Lund, the American from North Carolina. There's Barsh, there's Pinheiro, there's Lund. Now, Barsh seems to have, well, the biggest lead he's had so far in this entire, the biggest lead anyone's had in this entire race so far. But Pinheiro and Lund are going to be fighting for this one. You've got to kind of feel a little bit for Jeff Lund there, because he's gone from fighting to get away from being 3rd. It's sort of not quite worked out entirely.
Yeah, I've got a question, James. Do you know whether Ramon's penalty is a time penalty or a place penalty?
I'll be honest, I haven't got a clue. Kyle, do you know?
No, I will try to get one of the officials down here. Was it not just let him back through because Barsh swapped positions, or was it a move?
If you want to go to race control, you've probably got time.
Yep, I'm going to nip to race control now.
We'll keep talking. We've only got half a minute to go, so just got half a minute to go. If we knew what Ramon's penalty, how it was going to be applied, and if there is one, because we just know he's got, well, he's been given one, but quite what it's actually going to be. It may well be that if he'd, if he moves aside and Barsh comes through, then that's what's happened, and therefore losing the lead. But that's all fair game. So there might not be a time penalty as such. Of course, Pinheiro did take a little bit of a while to respond to that, because he did push back with Barsh for a while. I think the organisers would like to see somebody sort of relinquish the position straight away. Generally, a bad pass is given that give it back and you're fine. But of course, Pinheiro would have taken about a lap or two to do it.
I just got removed from race control.
Sorry, Kyle, carry on.
I went to race control. It's a bad time because the checkered flag's about to come out. I got removed, but I would hazard a guess that it was gives the place back because Barsh and Pinheiro swapped positions, so that would make sense.
That's right, and the checkered flag is out, and Matt Barsh has won. Matt Barsh has won from Ramon Pinheiro, and Jeff Lund is in 3rd place. A great race there, really, by Jeff Lund, and in 3rd place there. That was a staggering result from battling with Barsh and Pinheiro. Obviously, Barsh, Pinheiro, they've been here a lot before. They know the formats, everything else, racing in Europe all the time. But Jeff Lund really is very impressive there in that 3rd place. But you can never take away a win like that from Matt Barsh. It's been really up and down. Penalty for Pinheiro for a bad pass. He had to give the position back. Ramon Stiley gave it back as late as he could, and clearly not wanting to, but there you go. But really, I know he was only 3rd, but star of the race got to be Jeff Lund, but an excellent win there by Matt Barsh, and very entertaining racing with the likes of Pinheiro.
Yeah, another fantastic race. Kind of lost for words with how many we've had today. It's been really good wheel to wheel. I would like, on the note there of Ramon giving the position back, I'm pretty sure it was just a very good overtake from Matt Barsh. I don't think he just gave the position. But if has Ramon got away without a penalty there then?
I think he's been deemed to have served it, yes, by coming in behind Pinheiro. So we're going down to the pits to Kyle Power, and Kyle's going to be grabbing who he can, and he's got quite a few to choose from in that race.
Yes, I'm going to try, and I'm going to try and grab Matt Barsh. Ramon Pinheiro is having a discussion with the race control officials at the moment. There is a nice side note in that Matt Barsh winning in that kart. That means every single kart in this fleet has won a race so far. So again, another big shout out to the Formula Fast staff and the kart parity. So every single kart in this fleet has won a race, which is really, really good. So Matt Barsh is just getting his helmet off now. I'm going to try and beckon him over. Right. Yep, right, I'm down here with Matt Barsh, race winner. That looks extremely fighty race win there.
Yeah, the qualification is very good for me, I think, on the slow kart. And my plan for the race, of course, will be continue on the 1st position. But my kart on the straight, I think, will be a little slower. But I must fight and working with that. Ramon overtake me on the pit stops. But of course, I have lucky find a place to overtake. I hope so. Will be better on the next race, and I'm very happy of 1st position. And congratulations to Ramon to fight, and very good, nice race.
Well, it was certainly entertaining from where we were sat. Congratulations and have a medal.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers, no worries. Oh, yep, Ramon's come here, so yep. I'm here with 2nd place, Ramon Pinheiro. How was that for you? It looked like it got a bit a bit racy. What was just happening in race control there? Have you got any news for us?
Well, I mean, I just got told like I had a bad pass flag, but I just didn't see it. So, I mean, otherwise, obviously, I would have given the place back. But anyway, he got in front at the end, so, I mean, I don't think that changes the outcome of the result because we were both far in front. I mean, obviously, if I saw it, I'd give it the place back because that would have changed nothing for me anyway.
So have you escaped the penalty then?
But I don't have a clue. I don't know. I just don't know.
But it's extremely strong pace, and it was looking. You certainly kept us entertained here. We couldn't tell who it was going to be. Whether it was going to be Matt Barsh or yourself. It was extremely fun. Was it fun and exciting from the cockpit as it was looking from the side?
It's fun and tough at the same time. But obviously, I wanted the final win, but Matt did a really good move on me, like 3 minutes to go. But it's fair enough. I mean, second, I'll take second place. Fourth and a second. I wanted to be consistent top 3, which that makes it even. Tomorrow got 2 very tough hits, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay, best of luck. Well done, Ramon. I'm also going to try and quickly, sneakily get Jeff Lund. He's going to come in after a fantastic drive. Yep, brilliant. Right, Jeff, very quickly, because we're running out of time. Very, very strong race there for 3rd place. It looked like you could win it at one point.
Yeah, I was just happy to be in there. Like, top 3 with those guys, like Barsh and Pinheiro. Like, I was just happy to be there. And then I got last place points in the first race, so I wasn't going to fight too hard because I figure those guys have a bit more to fight for right now.
Brilliant. We have to cut short because we're starting the other thing. We're starting another race, but we'll try and catch up with you a bit later.
Sounds good. I want to watch this race anyway.
Okay, back to you, James.
Okay, now Jeff Lund, you heard him say he wants to watch this race anyway. Okay, and here we are at British Rental Kart Championship 2020, and this is going to be one of the most anticipated heat races of the lot. Jeff Lund himself, you've just heard, he wants to watch this race anyway, don't we all? The checker flag is out, the times are in. Wojciech Zerb is fastest. He's been passed by world champion Michael Schuttler, Sam Spinell, and Patrick Neroda. Patrick Neroda is faster than anybody. And Ed White's in 3rd, and Wojciech Zerb has gone quicker. Brad Philpott's come into 5th place, and it's only Armando Paz, he's come into 7th. And Wojciech Zerb is fastest ahead of Patrick Neroda, the world champion Michael Schuttler. Ed White is 4th, Bradley Philpott 5th, Sam Spinell is 6th, Armando Paz is 7th, Logan Sune is 8th, Richard Jute is 9th, and Russell Ending is 10th. My goodness, now, guys, this is one of the epic races of the championship, the one of the most anticipated ones. It's luck of the draw in the heats, but the way this draw has worked out, potentially every single racer is a winner. We saw, it was Kyle Power down there in the pit lane that noted that every kart in the series so far has actually won a race. Every single kart has done it. So the kart parity is beyond question here at Formula Fast in Milton Keynes. And as I say, this is the battle for the title of the British Championship, but this could easily be a World Championship round. In fact, this could easily be the semi-final or the final, given the names that are in it. But heading that glittering international list is Wojciech Zerb. Wojciech Zerb actually maybe the, I hate to say it, but deemed the lesser of the 2 Zerb brothers, Jamie Henderson. But we're going to get things underway now. Here comes Wojciech Zerb. He's leading the way. Now this could be the race of races for this year's championship. And look at this. Zerb is pretty keen to get this one on. He gets it going. It's Zerb from Neroda and Schuttler there. And they lead out onto the new section. This is the section they haven't tackled before. It's still Zerb. The racing is pretty even so far. An epic lineup there. Russell Ending, former contender for the championship, is actually in 10th place and last. That gives an idea of how tightly fought this is. They're absolutely nose to tail, which is what we expected. This is potentially the toughest lineup in the whole championship. Richard Jute, we saw winning a race earlier on, is only 9th. That says everything about how tough this is. The world champion, Michael Schuttler, he's coming through in 3rd place, but it's Wojciech Zerb, the Polish driver, who leads the way, continues to lead the way from Patrick Neroda. And Patrick Neroda, to be honest with you, an expert driver in all cases, but not necessarily the one I'd expect to be second in this lot.
No, I was just going to say, I think if at the start of the day you'd asked all 100 drivers how you thought qualifying was going to end up, no one would have been able to predict it spot on, because it just could have gone any way. I mean, with all respect in the world, just because I know the least about him, but Paz would have been the one I would have expected to maybe been at the rear of this field, but nope, he's gone and out-qualified Logan Sune, which would normally be enough to put you in the front row. Today, it's 8th.
Absolutely, we've got a pit stopper already. It's Spinell. It's Sam Spinell.
Sam Spinell coming into the pits. It looks quite smooth there, James, and I was wondering whether he was going to attack Philpott, but if you've got Philpott in front of you, why not go for an early stop?
Yes, it might be better than risking your entry for next year's event being cancelled, mightn't it? But the fact is that, yes, Sam Spinell, now he's rolled the dice. Now this is going to be very interesting because the level that they're all operating at, they're cancelling each other out, but because they're all so good, there's still possibility there that people could actually be holding each other up. And another pit stopper.
Logan Sune. Number 15, Logan Sune, he's coming to the pits. Looks quite conservative, making sure that he's getting it done. Heard you guys earlier, he's come out behind Sam Spinell. Sam Spinell's doing the "don't challenge me, we're going to go fast" manoeuvre. You were talking about jumping out of the car, and does it make a difference? It doesn't.
It does on the brain, is that it,
It's the same, and well, maybe physics isn't true.
Well, Matt Barsh believes in it, and Logan Sune there clearly doesn't. So, yeah. But at the moment, we've still got Wojciech Scherb. Now, Wojciech Scherb and Patrick Neroda, I have to say, in this particular heat race, starting positions would be Wojciech Scherb, very, very good, very highly rated at world level, but is generally considered to be maybe slightly the second of the two racing Scherb brothers. Patrick Neroda, we know he's a world level driver, but would you rank him ahead of Michael Schottler, Ed White, Brad Philpott? Possibly not. Richard Duke, we've seen win up, and he's down in 7th. So we're seeing some people sort of slightly out of position, even this elevated level here. Stranger it seems to say, but clearly this is the juice of the competition, really. And still, Wojciech Scherb is hanging on with Patrick Neroda in contention, and Michael Schottler third. With Ed White, Britain's top representative in this race, and there they are coming down the back straight. There's Scherb, there's Neroda, there's Schottler, and there's Ed White, with a bit of a gap now to Brad Philpott, who's got Armando Paz behind him, and then Duke, and then Ending. Russell Ending, of course, is every one of these drivers capable of winning, and including Russell Ending, who has won at BRKC level, and there he is down near the tail. Talking of down near the tail, actual tail, Logan Sune is really closing up on Sam Spinell. Sam Spinell was asking Logan Sune that they work together for speed, but Logan Sune may very quickly have other ideas, because if he feels that Spinell is costing him time, he's just going to break that agreement and go straight ahead. Jamie, I can see Logan Sune making a move soon on Spinell at the back.
Yeah, so can I. There was a little bit, maybe would you say, about a car length and a half between them when he first came out of the pit. Now Logan is all over him. Sam will want the push, but I think if Logan wants to really make some headway in this race, it might be better if he goes for the lunge, if he can pull it off.
Now, I'm sure if you ask Logan Sune, he's going to say that really on paper he's faster than Wojciech Scherb. He's faster than Patrick Neroda. That would probably be his personal opinion. That's why he's in the Blue Star team and one of their main drivers. Michael Schottler might be a different question. So I'm thinking that Logan Sune is probably going to be pretty much convinced that he could actually win this race with that early pit stop, and having Sam Spinell sat in front of him, that close in front of him, is probably going to... that's a deal that might not last too long, Jamie.
Yeah, I've just seen the last few times they've gone down the straight, Patrick Neroda pointing at Schottler, asking for a push, but it might be more in hope than actual, I think, realistic thinking. I think he knows that Schottler is probably eyeing up a move, because that gap at the front is just eking out ever so slightly. There's pressure from Ed White from behind as well. I think Schottler is going to be making a move soon.
Absolutely, and if he doesn't make a move on Neroda, maybe there'll be a move into the pit lane. Remember, this is the world champion. He knows the strategic game as well as he knows the combat game, and he's obviously going to be aware of what's happening with Neroda and Scherb in front of him. But you know what? At that level, I bet he's got an idea on what's going on with Sune and Spinell. He'll probably be looking across the track at various key points. In fact, he's made a move. He's up to second. The world champion is up to second. Michael Schottler has taken Patrick Neroda for second, so the German has passed the Belgian, and now he's closing in on the Polish driver in front of him, Wojciech Scherb. He knows it's the... any Scherb is fast, but it's the lesser of the Scherbs that he's trying to deal with now, and that will surely give him extra sort of feeling about passing him. Spanners down in the pit lane there, you're actually sort of, shall we say, a bit more exposed to the event. Does it look pretty close from where you are?
Firstly, I want to say I like the other Scherb. That's my favourite. It's shocking that you've picked a favourite, if I'm honest. What's interesting is seeing Paz and Philpott. Paz is signalling to Philpott to say, just get on with it. I'm not pushing you. We need to go forward, which is very interesting, because I think Philpott has been a little defensive. But I was just wondering, when is Ed White going to make his move? Because now he's closed that gap, I expect him in the pits anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, Ed White is going to have to choose between pits or position, really, isn't it? Because actually, since passing him, Schottler somehow isn't making ground on the leader Gerb, and is now coming under pressure from Neroda, the one he actually passed, and in turn from Ed White. Now Ed White, it's got to be going through his head, right, how serious is this? I've got to try and pass Neroda and Schottler to actually make any inroads on the leader. Do I pit myself out of this problem? This is exactly why the pit stop strategy exists for particularly these situations that Ed White is facing right now. Now, if we look at the screen there, we're looking at the back of Ed White on screen. Now, he's the main British driver in this particular race, and he's there working on the more maroon-coloured helmet, maroon and blue helmet of Patrick Neroda, and the World Champ. Oh, there's been a collision, because it's, and the big collision, they're still colliding, for goodness sake. Ed White's made a move, and somebody's going to get a finger wag for this. Schottler's gone from, second to fourth and back up to third. I think Ed White would have got a bad pass flag for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And all of a sudden, the so-called lesser Gerb, as you put it, is now with a very commanding lead of 4 seconds.
Paz is shaking his head. He's not very happy with that pit stop, but he was in a really interesting position because he was on the tail of Philpott. They suddenly closed that gap, which is what he wanted, and he chose that moment to then pit out of it. So I think that's genius, or he's gone too quickly because he'd achieved what they were trying to do, which was catch the leading pack.
So whatever happens, Spanners, that it's not going to be an average result for Paz. It's either going to work brilliantly or fail miserably.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a Jensen Button pit stop, that.
Yeah. Now, obviously you were saying he was shaking his head. Was there any obvious reason for that? Did he look slow? Or, I mean, he obviously didn't bring on the yellow light, did he?
I think he might have had to take a second stab at that, and in fact he has had a penalty pit stop. So Paz is in the pits again, and let's see if he can get away cleanly this time. That's actually perfectly timed. I believe it was the first set of lights that he failed to complete successfully, and we've got our answer. It has definitely not worked.
It's blown massively, isn't it? And, you know, if ever there was a race that you're not going to get away with the result with 2 stops, Spanners.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's released Philpott now, because Philpott has had Paz on his back the whole race so far. Now he's actually free to be the hunter, not the hunted.
Absolutely, and the one he's hunting is Ed White, who's in 4th place. But Ed White has immediately in front of him the world champion Schottler, who has immediately in front of him Patrick Neroda. Now, what's going to be very interesting here is the fact that, look at this, Wojciech Gerb has actually been released to pull away. In fact, here comes the world champion. He's coming to you, Spanners.
Number 13, he's in. Let's see, he's looking like he's taking a conservative approach. I know people get upset when I say that, but he's not jumping up and down out of his seat, and he even gave a little slight lift on his way out of the second set of pits to make sure he got it right.
Well, and if you look, we've also got a change of position at the back there with Logan Sine, who's moved in front of Sam Spinell. While we were focusing on the pit stop for the world champion Michael Schottler, there was a change at the back. Now that's crucial because we were wondering earlier if Sune was going to break that agreement, if he felt he was faster. Because Sune probably, of all of those early pit stoppers, is the likely winner of this. The guy has such incredible speed, and it does appear that people holding themselves up, particularly the way they fell away from Gerb, and there's a nasty little battle there developing between Neroda, White and Philpott. These are all capable of taking each other on, and of course when they do they might lose some time, so you know this does play into the hands of the likes of Logan Sine, so we'll be keeping a real eye on that one. Schottler has come out ahead of Sune though by 3 seconds, so Sune's got to make up 3 seconds on Schottler alone if he wants to win. But another one in.
Yeah, Philpott's gone in. That was interesting because Philpott had the least to lose in that battle because he was generally falling away from the other two. So now, if he gets himself a better place in traffic, his gamble has got to be that Ed White and up ahead is going to have a worse time in the pit stops, and then he's going to be in a position to capitalise.
And the gamble could well have paid off for Bradley Philpott because what's happened is he's come out nicely. He's not on the tail of, but he's quite close to the German Schottler. Crucially, he's in front of that Sune and Spinell battle further back, and that what they were planning to leapfrog everybody with their early pit stops.
I don't think they were working together though, were they? They were definitely fighting each other.
Well, I think the request was work together, but obviously not really adhered to. But you know, in this heat. There's a change. There's Ed White making a move. Is he? Yes, he is. Ed White, and he's in the wall. Neroda's in the wall. We'll see if there's a bad pass given or whatever. But Ed White and Patrick Neroda certainly made a huge amount of contact. Ed White has come out in front there, but we'll see what the organisers have to say about that. as Ed White, we can see on screen now in the orange and blue helmet. He's been followed by Patrick Neroda. He may have to give the place back. Yes, they're bringing out the flag. You can see on screen there, just next to the green light there, they're bringing out a flag, and it's been given to Ed White. Ed White has been told to move out of the way. He has moved out of the way. Patrick Neroda moves back ahead. That's not a really genuine pass position on Ed White. He's had to give it back because of, well, frankly, turfing Neroda in the wall. Jamie, that was a bit of a robust one, wasn't it, from Ed White? But he had to do something.
It certainly wasn't. Of course, the big winner of this is Bradley Philpott, who will be smiling under that helmet, that isn't absolutely sure, because there was at least a couple of seconds lost there with Ed White and Patrick Neroda. They were together on track. It may well happen that they both pit and Brad all of a sudden finds himself in contention for a podium.
Absolutely, it definitely helps Philpott. It might help Logan Sune and Sam Spinell, but it does seem that, into the pits, Russell Ending, Spanners.
Yeah, we've got Endon in here, and it's looking smooth. He's out safely and on his way. But that shows why Philpott pitted. It was a really smart move, wasn't it? And Ed White, bless him, he has a go, doesn't he?
Well, you can never rule him out, and he's trying to have another go. I mean, he's not giving up on Patrick Neroda. We're showing a penalty on screen, but I think it's been served. Jamie.
So the gap between Patrick Neroda, Ed White and Bradley Philpott is, we'll say it again, that magic 10 seconds is exactly in the middle of it. So it's one of those where if Ed now goes for a move, and especially if it doesn't come off, he will definitely cost them both position. If he goes for it, pulls it off and can then pull away from Patrick, it's going to work for him, but it's really close again.
And meantime, look at that. Wojciech Zerb has managed to pull a 7.5 second gap onto Patrick Neroda and Ed White. Currently fastest on the track as on the best lap in this race so far is Michael Schuttler, the German world champion. And we're looking now, there's Patrick Neroda with Ed White, and Ed White is all over the back of the Belgian there, Neroda. As Zerb continues in the lead, Neroda, White. Richard Jute has come up through his fourth place. Yes, he hasn't made a pit stop yet, and he's the highest place of the... no, because Neroda and White, I'm kind of lost it. Have they made a pit stop, Jamie? No, they haven't, have they? So the top four, we're still waiting for pit stop for them. Everyone else has made one. It's the top four. So Jute is the highest place, the lowest place of the non-pit stop. Look at them go. On screen now, we've got an almighty battle. Patrick Neroda versus Ed White. As Neroda turns through the hairpin at the top. Ed White, he's already had a bad pass penalty. He had to put the place back. But that doesn't mean he's given up by any means. Ed White, one of Britain's top drivers. He does sort of, he's not the one they talk about most, but he's the one highly rated, I think, amongst the British drivers. Say Lewis Manley with big race wins and lots of flamboyance does get the headlines a little bit, but Ed White potentially is maybe the best bet. He has been third in the championship before. Jamie, can you see him actually making the move soon? He's got 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, he's got to. The more this race goes on, it's clear that Ed does need to get a move on and try and get past Patrick as possibly can. I think he's actually had second in the BRKC before, I believe. So, yeah, in terms of being one of the top British hopes, absolutely he is. But at this point, he might even be thinking about doing a pit stop. But
I was going to say, would it be a good time to come in, as in right now?
No, because he's kept going and he knows a lot more about it than me. So.
Yes, far be it from us to impart racing advice to someone like Ed White, but he continues on. He obviously, that's why he wins and we don't, maybe.
James, I draw you, and then Spinell and Sonia going behind, because that gap is starting to close now, and it's interesting to see what Ed White is doing ahead, because if that gap comes together on the pit stops, there's going to be more karts involved than I think we thought at first.
Yeah, I mean, we've been given about 10 seconds on the pit stop, Spanners, as you know. Now Ed White is 8.3 behind the leaders, and Brad Philpott is 18.1. Really, there's like a 2/10 of a second window. And Richard Jute in Spanners, he's with you now.
Yeah, Jute's coming in. It's looking like he's actually going to lose a place out there to Endon, so that battle looks like it's going to be settled. But he's also neck and neck here with number 21, with Paz, who obviously had that shocking pit stop, and then there's contact, and that looked a little optimistic from Paz for my money.
Yeah, it's there's been quite a lot of optimistic contact. Down the backstretch, Philpott is under massive pressure. He's got Logan Sune and Sam Spinell absolutely trying to take him. They're coming round. They're on screen now. There's Philpott. There's Sune in the predominantly blue. We're coming up to the start-finish line now. There's Philpott through now. There's Sune. There's Spinell as they battle through. They're running 5th place at the moment, but this could be a lot higher up when the pit stops cycle through. Now Schuttler is 3 seconds ahead.
We've got a pit stop. The leader pits. He's going to be safe, though, you'd imagine, wouldn't you? One of the two equally good gerbs in my eyes. He's had to do a double, he's had to lift though, and following him into the pits is Ed White. So this is crucial as we look at the Philpott battle coming around the final corner. I think Ed is going to get ahead pretty comfortably actually, and if he gets back on speed, we're going to have a 4-kart race here for that position.
We've got that 4-kart race, Spanners, because out to the side where you can't see, I can tell you now that Philpott, there's a little bit of a gap, about 3 kart lengths, but Philpott certainly got a bit between his teeth, trying to close on Ed White, but so is Logan Sune, so is Sam Spinell. I know there's a battle behind them, there's a change position as well further back. It's all kicking off. You've got another one in the pits.
We've got Naroda in now, and now all eyes on the orange trim and black race suit of Ed White coming around the corner. It looks like Naroda is going to get out there in front, but it is very close, and as we know, Ed White likes to have a go, but he's not going to make it.
He's not, but he's been alongside. He's had those front wheels alongside Naroda's rears, and is he going to go into the hairpin? He's already been following Naroda for an awful lot of this race. He knows what lines Naroda's going to take. He almost probably now knows what Naroda's going to do before Naroda actually does it. They're coming down the backstretch. We can see Naroda's hugging the inside. So's Philpott, so's Sune. Everybody's worried about the driver behind, and Sam Spinell tries an outside move, which doesn't really come off as they continue around. That's Philpott holding off Sune. Now, across the line, we're looking at that battle there with Philpott, with Sune, with Sam Spinell. And, there's Russell Endine. He's about the only person on the track who's on his own. Spanners, we've got 2 minutes left to go, and we think everyone's been in the pits. Yes, they have. So you've seen everyone past you now. Yeah. From the track side there, it's got to look like, here's Gerb, he's got to look pretty safe there in the lead.
Oh yeah, Gerb's I think he's playing Tetris on his little handpiece on the steering wheel. Yeah. It's interesting to see Naroda and Ed White looking comfortable. That gap has gone again, and Philpott is having to go defensive. The quality in this heat is unbelievable, but on that first right-hander, Philpott's having to go narrow, and every time he does that, that's eating away time and bringing that. Like Philpott, I think in this heat, 5th is really not a bad result at all.
In this heat, even, to be honest, for once, 10th is brilliant, isn't it? Even though it's last. Just being in this heat, you've got to be brilliant. But we're looking at its continuing battle there. So over to the side, the inside, not the natural racing line, Jamie Henderson, but Brad's having to take it to defend against Sune. Logan Sune is having to take it to defend against Sam Spinell.
Absolutely. As soon as Ed White and Patrick Naroda came out the pits, and Brad knew realistically 5th was the best result he could get, he has not left the inside line, which is absolutely correct to do, making it really difficult for the two, at the moment, quicker guys to pass. So we've got a couple of battles going on. Patrick Naroda and Ed White 3rd, and then Brad holding on 5th as well. But Russell Endine's become a part of this battle now, as well as Brad's driving so defensively.
And we're seeing it coming towards us on the screen. Sam Spinell has obviously got the idea that Russell Endine's there as well, because for once he wasn't taking the normal line down the backstretch. He too went to the defensive inside route, which is going to be slower through the following corner, but means you're not going to get overtaken. It's a 4-way fight, and that's over 5th place as Brad Philpott leads that little group of Logan Sune, Sam Spinell and Russell Endine, and they're coming through the new area now. But now we've moved over to Patrick Naroda. Patrick Naroda is still under massive pressure from Ed White. Ed White, arguably Britain's finest driver at the moment, but here comes Philpott and the rest. The only one with a sensible line there is Russell Endine, because he's the only one who can take one, and the checker flag is going to be out. The checker flag is out next time around. The checker flag's coming out. And almost a pass there, and Philpott is having to defend it. Gosh, this is all kicking off. Is going to win this race. We're probably going to focus a little bit more behind, because we know what the result is going to be. Here comes Gerb. Gerb's going to take it. Naroda, looks like he's winning over Ed White, and what on earth's going to happen behind? So there is the win there for Gerb. Shuttler 2nd. Yeah, we'll get those 3. Now look at this. Naroda, one last lunge for White. He's tapping him. He's side by side. And here's Philpott. Here's Spinell. Spinell's got ahead of Logan Sune.
Wow.
Just incredible. Just incredible. On the last lap, Sam Spinell managed to make a place. Yes, it was only 6th, but my goodness me, that was the hardest fought 6th I reckon Sam Spinell has ever done outside of a final in a major national championship. What a race that was. It lived up to expectation. The only thing that wasn't expected was the kind of gap that Wojciech Gerb would have over Michael Schottler, and in turn over the 3rd place Patrick Naroda. Spanners, they're coming down to you now, so we'll hand over to you in the pit lane.
Who do you talk to in a heat like that? We'll talk to the winner, of course. If we can grab Ed, I think, Ed, if you come and chat to me, that would be great. And we've got to have a word with Philpott as well, super involved in that battle. But wow, what a heat. Gerb made it look easy, disappearing off at the front. did benefit from some very hard racing behind, and they all had a fair crack at the whip with the pit stops there. What Philpott did could have been inspired, but when he didn't come out in front of Ed White, of course, suddenly he had that train on the back of him again. Let's see who we can grab. Looking for Gerb. Can you help me with some driver recognition? Ah, here we go. Hi, congratulations, good race win. Obviously, you had it kind of your own way. Where's the camera? Let's talk to one there.
Let's speak English.
You're okay. You'll be fine. Heard me and James talking.
Okay.
It's fine.
I'm going.
Yeah. I'm here with a race winner. Now, it's strange because in the commentary booth, James has said he prefers the other Gerb. You're my favourite Gerb. You had a very easy race victory, benefiting from a lot of the battles behind you.
Yes, this race is amazing. I'm starting to qualification in first position. I'm Patrick Nioda pushing to me. I'm start and go to finish. I'm the win. It's amazing.
It's very easy. It looked like you had time to play some games on your screen. Did you see? Were you aware of any of the battles behind?
Yes.
Always nice and easy. So where do you think you can go from here? Good result for the semi-finals. All set?
What?
Do you think you're set for the semi-finals?
Maybe.
Here you go. Congratulations. Here's your race win. Congratulations on a good race. See you later. Wow, I think I've managed to let everybody drift off and get away. I'll be more on it next time, James. But what a fantastic heat. Certainly lived up to the heat of death tag that everyone was giving it. I have to say, big fail to Bradley Philpott as the organiser to making sure that he doesn't end up in a heat like that.
Well, yes, you'd think he would pull a bit of, organise a string and make sure he wasn't, but I suppose it proves the point that it's genuine and even. However, I think we've now got 4 people whose entries are going to be turned down for next year, aren't they? Anyway, there's another good one coming up, Spanners.
I can probably get a hold of Brad quickly if you want,
do it,
because it was right in that battle. Let's see if we can grab a quick word with Philpott there. Are you free for a quick chat? Here we go. We don't need to be on camera, do we? Oh, do you want to just talk on the audio? You were right in the thick of it there. You gambled with the pit stop. It seemed like exactly the right move.
I can't really claim much responsibility for that pit stop. I was just trying to follow what my team on the pit wall were telling me. All I knew in that race was I was missing some pace, and I'd qualified higher than I expected, and I kind of wanted to stay there. So I was very grateful to Ramon and Johnny on the pit wall giving me some advice, letting me know when there was a good gap.
As soon as Ed came out, it was clear that you were going to be defending again, and then you had the rest of the race with that chain of 4 behind you. How hard is it here to go defensive and still keep up the pace?
So it's not hard to go defensive, but you're right, it's very hard to go defensive and not lose a lot of time. And that's obviously what I did. The moment they got close enough to me to be within range of an attack, I was instantly just white lining it, just staying on the inside all the way around. And unless someone's particularly rough, they're not going to come through.
Last question, you're the race organiser. How did you end up in that heat? Surely you could have fudged it.
As you can see, we do it extremely fairly. So, yeah, I would not have chosen that heat, but having seen it, I would definitely take the 5th place.
Good luck in the next heat. Fantastic there. Yeah, great performance, 5th place, and that is the heat that everyone was trying to, or hoping to avoid.
So what a race that was. We've got a little bit of a gap now where all the karts are fueled and checked over. Great kart parity here at Formula Fast and Milton Keynes because, as was mentioned earlier by Carl Power in the pit lane, that all the karts have actually won the heat race themselves, and it doesn't matter which driver, each of the karts have actually won. And of course, nothing's going to test them like a race like that. You know, there's when the calibre is very high anyway, and excessively high in that heat race, then certainly you're going to see a situation where any shortcomings in any of the machinery is going to be shown up. So the boys here at Formula Fast doing a great job to keep things really even and equal. Obviously not hurt by the fact that the weight equalisation as well. Everyone's got a weight up to 90 kilos. Those who are new to the sort of format of this runs to what is normally not how you would necessarily run an indoor Championship race here in the UK. It's run to more the international standard, the way it operates out in Europe and the rest of the world, which means that everyone's weighted up to 90 kilos. Now, a lot of the drivers, they race in various of the other European national championships and of course the world championships as well. They run to the same rules, that 90 kilo weight. So a lot of the drivers, instead of taking, the circuit has got weights that can be put into the carts for you. They go in a slot down the side. A lot of people may be aware of that as well, but obviously that's in chunks of like 5 kilos, 10 kilos, that sort of thing. And a lot of the drivers in the sort of level that they're operating at today means that they do want to be as close to that 90 kilograms as possible, so they have their own seat insert. So, you know, if you were 78 kilos, you don't want to be loading up with 25 kilos in a block provided by the circuit and be 3 kilos overweight. You'd want your own 22 kilo weight seat insert. So you'll see a lot of the drivers as they head towards the carts will be carrying what looks like their own seat. That's the insert that carries the weight that gets them personally to the exact 90 kilos required. Equally importantly, they actually have to pass that weight test after the race, not just getting in. They have to pass it after the race, and it is possible to lose weight during the race. I know I came a cropper and got disqualified out of a World Championship heat race one time at the Kart World Championship in Germany a number of years ago. I was within the weight, just on the weight limit getting in, but sweated out nearly a kilo during the heat race and came in and unfortunately had to be busted from that particular race. So you know, you can't always run it as tight as you like. You've got to be aware that, you know, people have to be aware that they're going to lose some weight during the heat of battle. So those who are not used to it, that weight is really important for the drivers in question. The carts are being fueled, and the whole fleet gets fueled as one, so theoretically everything's running at the same weight from a fuel point of view. No special fuel in it, just regular unleaded into these Sodi carts here. Now, in the next heat race, we're halfway through the round 2 now. Theoretically, the drivers should never meet all of heat race. So once you've been in the same heat race as one particular driver, you should never see that person again until you're in the semi-final. Possibly, needless to say, you'll naturally, if you both make the final in the end, you'll see them in that one. But to sort of spread it out, so no one can say, oh, well, I was in wrong position. You'll never see that same driver in the same heat race. So for this next one, we've got still actually a fairly tough race, albeit maybe not given as quite the same calibre, but it should be certainly as entertaining. For heat number 6, we're halfway through round 2 now. We've got Alex Van Gien, we've got Kevin Geli Rifat, the Frenchman, we've got Slavik Biskors, Polish, Robert Szechel, another Polish driver, Marco Brem we saw earlier on from Germany, Matthew Stark, he's in this one. Conor Marsh, we saw that inspired early pit stop by Conor Marsh. He really set the ball rolling for those early stoppers in the round 1, and he's back in action now. Remy Drazga, the organiser of the Polish Championship, he's there in this race as well. Robin Kassam as well we can expect to see, and Anwar Barul-Smith, the sort of comeback king of this event, if you like. He was making his BRKC comeback after a number of years and managed to win against very tough opposition earlier on. Now, obviously, while everybody's here, this is more for those in the stand. There are obviously a number of national championships that take place throughout the year, and one particularly of interest, which is quite a close and easy one to get to if people are interested in this one, the Belgian National Championship, which was won last year by Johan Medart, who's here competing this weekend. That takes place at the end of the year, and of course most people know Greg Laporte, or even Matthias Grooten. He's worth talking to here. He's at the venue. You can talk to him to discuss your entry into that particular event and what to do to get in there, when it's going to be. As I say, it's more towards the end of the year. And equally, that's the Belgian National Championship, but equally is the Polish Indoor Kart Championship. And Remy Drazga, who's here competing, in fact, he's competing in the next race, so perhaps not the time to speak to him is now, but certainly Remy Drazga, he's the organiser of the Polish Championship, that indoor championship. That takes place in Szczecin, and that is at the end of April, and there's still plenty of time to get entry into that, but obviously be quick, because these things do fill out fairly quick. So, and needless to say, there are a variety of other championships, but the Belgian National Championship, Matthias Grooten will be worth talking to here, or Greg Laporte, who's not here, but most people know him through Facebook, and Remy Drazga for the Polish Indoor Kart Championship. Get your entries in now. So, as we move ever closer to the next of the heat races in round 2, we're using alternate layout. There's 2 layouts here at Formula Fast. They're going to run, there's 4 rounds of heats. 2 rounds are going to be run on the regular layout, which involves that famous snail section, and 2 rounds are on this alternate layout, which is what we're using now. We're going to be using the alternate for rounds 2 and rounds 3, and then when it comes to round 4, that'll be tomorrow morning. We'll be back to the more regular layout, and that layout for the semi-finals and the final itself, involving the fabled snail section where a lot of action takes place. So as we do get ready down there, just want to run through some of the rules as well. We have an international TV audience now this year with Motorsport TV on normal TV screens and through the net. Also, there'll be a lot of people watching on the British Rental Kart Championship YouTube channel. For those who are not used to it, the format again is slightly different. It's not really knockout in the finishing positions, it's about points, and that really does even things out. The points are scored throughout the heat races. There's 10 drivers in each race, 10 points for first, 1 point for last, and obviously everything else in between. And the top 30 point scorers go through to the one of the 3 semi-finals, 10 drivers in each of that, so 100 drivers start, 30 go forward, 30 best scorers go in to the semi-finals, and the top 10 point scorers out of that. So the semi-finals again isn't knockout. Just because you're top 3 in the semi-finals doesn't mean you're going through. It's the right to continue scoring, if you like. So with the semi-finals, you're scoring points as you go along, and then the top 10 of point scorers go into that all-important final. There's going to be a single kart shootout qualifying, so everyone will be qualifying in the final in the same kart, really pushing the old parity there. And then there's a draw according to points scored as to which karts people will take in that final itself for those 10 who make it through. So really is quite exciting, a lot going on. Spanners, you're now joining us down in the pits now for the rest of the event. We're taking over from Kyle Power, and
but his name is so much better than mine that I might just keep the name. I mean, that's such a motorsport name, isn't it?
Well, I'm sure, if it really came down to it, and Darren could edit his face over yours as well. So
no, I don't want his face. I couldn't pull off that beard. That's incredible.
So, how do you feel about what you've seen? Obviously, you've just arrived to take over for the afternoon.
I jumped in exactly the wrong heat, didn't I?
The right heat, some would say,
yeah. It was incredible. So interesting to hear Brad talking about just a little bit of pace in that car on that day, and then having to sit and defend. And incredible just watching Ed White, true to form, giving it a go. The body language in the kart is super, super calm until it's suddenly not. So if you're defending from him, I think it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. You can't see the anger in the body language.
He switches from smooth and serene to very aggressive,
sharp,
without really being able to spot the difference, does he? He looks the same, but somehow it's his body language stays the same, but the kart language changes.
I love the communication between the drivers and the deal making that goes on, because there will then obviously be an inevitable betrayal as well, and that's
as in Logan Sunak.
That's what I'm looking out for. The let's work together. Not now. I've had my fingers crossed. We're not doing that anymore.
Well, what was interesting there, Span, was even when Sam Spinell did sort of suggest or appeared to suggest they worked together, it almost, you got the feeling somehow that Logan Sunak was sort of fairly begrudgingly going along with that, and it wasn't really like, in his eye, any kind of deal at all.
I want to see some beef this year. That's what I'm looking for. It was all very civilised last year. What we want to see is some of these rivalries spilling out. Oh, in fact, no, there was the odd one, wasn't there?
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
All right, no, scratch that. It was carnage last year. It was basically the purge.
Where do you think the rivalries will be this year, then?
Well, I think we're doing pretty well if we pick a Zerb each. That's quite a good rivalry as well. Interesting to see Johnny Elliott and Philpott in their new team that they've been riding around in. all
with Ramon
year.
Pinero.
With Ramon, yeah, because they've been taking their indoor karting very seriously this year.
And getting the results as well.
Yeah, and they're working as a team. They're on the pit wall, which is basically cheating, isn't it? That's like that's your phone a friend for the whole race.
Yeah, but in line with the top teams like them, of course, and Blue Star 1 and 2, the Eco guys from Germany, and the rest of them, including the Polish, actually getting in on the act. It's almost like if everybody's in effect cheating, nobody's doing it wrong, are they? You know?
I offered the championship the chance to be able to speak in-car drivers. Because that's what we do at our events for Missed Apex podcast. That's what we do because it's a bit of fun, and so some of the helmets will have comms in them and stuff. And the answer was very much, no, this is serious. We want to hear from the pit crew and no one.
Yeah. Well, I should imagine getting anything sensible out of anyone going around the track here would be quite an ask. And in some cases, it may be very interesting. I mean, you know, when you think of some of the people who picked up penalties already today, that would be, well, might have to have delayed coverage for that one.
I think obviously the bad pass and the giving it back and that being the end of the matter is a really, really common sense approach, which is nice, and it's good to see. I like the one, oh, I didn't see it. Was that from Pinero, was it?
Yeah, yes it was.
Oh, you so did see it, and you know you did. That's fine. I also, in that position, would not have seen it.
No. And, of course, you have to ask the question. I'm sure if you ask Matt Barsh, he took the place back rather than was given it, whereas Pinero is, you know, saying, well, there's fair dinkum position back, but he didn't see it. But either way, it ended up in the correct order, so no further action taken. But yeah, well, it kind of shows, you know, when you're dealing with the likes of Ramon Pinero, you're going to get a 100% effort, aren't you? And maybe that 100% effort is going to run the risk of bad passes, it's going to run the risk of not seeing things, whatever.
Okay, so the difference would be, and this is no disrespect to previous years, but you look at the lineup this year and you go, maybe that not desperation, but maybe that real, oh, I need every single point, is going to start happening a lot earlier. So like from this point now, where people are getting into their second heats, they know that place ahead of them, that is potentially a semi-final spot or a final spot.
Generally, I think the given has been that people have been on the back foot right from the opening race. Talking yesterday to various people during the practices, everyone was expecting to have to gain everything early on. The talk generally, actually, Spanners, is of the points that get you in the final will be generally a lot lower this year, because everyone's going to be scoring. Yeah, exactly. There's the points. It's not somebody's getting great results across the board. Even Ruben Boutens, we saw third earlier on.
But if this was a case of you got to the semi-finals and then you just had to finish in the top 3 into the final, slightly less important. But with the continuing to score, you're almost in the semi-finals now. The whole event is the semi-finals.
It's a gigantic semi-final, isn't it? In that sense, I think it's going to be very difficult. There's probably going to be a whole bunch of people on the same score at this rate. I'm sure it'll get worked out, but there is the risk of that. Sean Brierley's down there in the pit lane, Spanners. Do you think he's up to something?
I would like to see what mentality he's turned up with this time. He's looking pretty focused there. He's looking very involved. It's interesting to see which drivers from the next heat have gone down to take in the atmosphere, even though there's, 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, and the answer to that is one, Brierley.
Well, no, Van Gien was down there as well.
He's gone back up, though, hasn't he?
Sniff around. And Van Gien, he said to me, right, in a private competition, it would be terrible of me to reveal that.
Well, you're not going to put that over international television.
But what he said was, if my helmet's down, that means I don't want to talk to you after the race. But he definitely has to talk to me. So I will, if I go missing, it's because I'm pursuing Van Gien up the stairs after he's had a bad race. I will follow him to the changing rooms, Van Gien. I will be there.
It's simple. Make him talk, even if you have to follow him into the loo, Spanners.
That's what I'm doing. Even if he goes home, I'm going to his house and having tea around his house.
Excellent. He probably would, actually, to try and get away from you. But you know what? The loos here this year, I mean, Formula Fast have really upgraded everything. The loos are like a nightclub, aren't they?
You think, I heard that they were renovating them. My expectations were low. How good could it be? It's like an executive lounge now. I think the fountain was a bit much, but I appreciate the effort. Yeah. You know, did it have to be gold? No, that could have gone to the trophies, but that was the choice they made.
Yeah, and that's absolutely right. And guess who was painting the walls earlier in the week? None less than Brad Philpott.
Oh, I know. He's a workhorse. He's a workhorse. No, but in all seriousness, the toilets, they've got a gloss.
Oh, they're
floor.
extreme.
Yeah, it felt good.
All dark and well lit and spangly. Yeah, looking really, really good.
Welcome to this week's episode of Toilet Time. What's your favourite toilet? Call in on 08000 42 51 7.
Somebody's going to ring that.
Yep. Let's see, tell me where that goes. And all complaints to james.old@brkc.co.uk.
Of which there'll be thousands. Spanners, looking ahead to this next race, we've got nobody down there, but as you've already ascertained, we've got Alex Van Gien in it.
Yes.
We've got Sean Briley in it, who's now moved away from the area of the cart.
Robin Kazam as well in there, Answar in there as well. So there's a few
Remy
guys on their day could be as good as anyone.
Slavik Piskors, former winner.
Yes, of course, and a fine photographer. So you have to say nice things about him.
You do.
Because then he'll select the better photos where you've managed to stretch your chin out and don't have a double chin.
Yeah, where you don't look awful.
Yeah. So top tip, because we're both over 35, me and James, please warn us so that we can pose if there's any photos.
Well, as luck would have it, I'm behind a window in the dark all weekend, so Slavik's going to have a heck of a job getting any dodgy pics of me. One thing that is, as the light comes on, we got Conor Marsh in this race, Spanners, Conor Marsh was the one who started a bit of a roll of people pitting early and steaming through.
Oh, okay.
So we've got Conor Marsh in the pits there.
Oh, I see. We get to talk.
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
And it looks like the camera's on us after all, Spanners.
Oh, there we go. I thought we got away with it in here. Yeah.
That's it.
It's because you opened your mouth and said we were going to get away without being photographed.
Well, we both got the face for radio, haven't we? But on a serious note, though, Conor Marsh has been putting in great performance there earlier on. We expect the same in this race. Question is, will he need to replicate that in this race, or will he just try and run away at the front if he qualifies on pole?
Is that likely? Do you think he's a favourite for pole here?
Anyone can ask him.
Oh, is
I think that, I don't know, let's have a little look, Spanner. Let's get the actual crib sheet down here.
Let's cheat.
So, who are we looking at? I'd say Spanners, that Connor's got as good a chance. Spanner's got an excellent chance of staying in the commentary.
That's where my money is.
What, Anwar Barul Smith?
Yes.
That's a pretty good place to put your money. Conor Marsh being the potential spoiler in that.
EMAX 24-hour champion.
Yeah, well, you know Conor anyway, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We go way back.
Well, there you go.
We
He's
holiday
excellent.
together.
Superb. Yeah. Where do you holiday? Formula Fast? Milton Keynes?
Bognor.
Yeah, Bognor. Right, but...
Kazam's going to be interesting. Because on his day, I think he could pop up, qualify in the top three, and be a spoiler for the rest of the race.
He could well be. He's certainly top in the AOA team, isn't he?
And Van Gien qualified third in the first heat.
He did.
What's he playing at?
Well, he obviously...
in his own words...
You weren't here, so he wasn't worried about being interviewed,
I was watching it at home in bed, but in his own words, out-qualified himself, and from that race was expecting to finish 6th anyway, so a good result. But if he can do something like that, again, tough driver to get by. It
was a surprise for him, wasn't it? And Slavik Piskors, former winner several times here, actually, in BRKC, so not really a surprise if he's running up at the front. Of course, Remy Drazga, very strong. He was a finalist in 2015.
Yep, there's a vowel in there as well, so that does help us.
Yes.
Drazga, is that the correct pronunciation?
Yeah,
I struggled a bit last year.
I think
with
that's
the
about
Polish guys.
ideal as an English person's going to get, Spanners, but Drazga works. He will respond to that.
And I think, is that the sound of carts in the back? No, it's not. I was getting overexcited.
Yeah, well, if it is, it's running off on its own. No one's in anything yet.
I'm not used to this, all Sky Sportsy. I wasn't expecting that. I haven't even done up my jacket, look. Surely I need a lapel mic if we're going to, next time. Can I just duct tape this onto here, and then it'll look good? They're saying no. They're unhappy.
So, your money on Anwar Barul Smith?
Yes, that's what I'm going for. Simply looking at some of the practice times from earlier in the week, he was consistently up at the top of the sessions. It's very hard to compare the carts session over session, but when you were looking at the same sessions and people he was in heats with, he was frighteningly consistent. So on pure pace, that's what I'm looking at.
Well, probably his biggest credential on being favourite to win this is the fact he won the previous race that he was in today. So Anwar Barul Smith, an excellent performance there, and he was against strong opposition, and he did win pretty convincingly. It wasn't easy, but he was solid, you know. I reckon the second choice would have to be Conor Marsh, I'd say.
You're putting all your pennies behind it. Should we gamble? No, we shouldn't gamble. No, we shouldn't gamble. No, let's not gamble. You're going for Conor Marsh.
Conor Marsh.
I think for the podium, if you like, if you're not doing podiums, I think we've got an outside chance of Van Gien or Kazam doing something a little bit surprising.
Much as we love Alex Van Gien, that's about as outside as you get. But on his day...
How dare you?
Having raced against him before, I dare very strongly.
He's under the weight limit.
He's under the weight limit,
under no
so he's adding some weight to it. Has he got a seat, or is he using the weights from the track?
I don't know.
Okay. That's a question for him when you get...
Van Geen is a can of Coke.
He's using a can of Coke. Yes, because, of course, he's noted for throwing things off the top there. Yes, that's right. Yeah. And so Alex Van Geen, you reckon's an outside bet for that podium?
Last time there was a commentary race combination involving me and Alex Van Geen. Alex was commentating, and I was racing. My brake pedal was loose.
Okay.
So I was driving somewhat erratically, trying to manage my brake pedal.
Yes.
He announced on the commentary that I was looking tired and sleepy, and that's why I was struggling. So expect nothing but praise for Van Geen's performance in these races.
Wonderful. So he's your bet then for a podium?
Yeah, I'm only setting him up so I can give with one hand and take away with another.
And then interview him whether his visor's up or down.
Yeah, I will chase him to the ends of the earth. Some names I don't know. Rufat, what do we know about him?
He's one that we don't know at all. He's obviously a Frenchman. Kevin Gelly-Rufat, we don't know him really at all, but he was running sort of near the tail. Obviously, at this level, you know, you can still be very good and run near the tail.
Oh, an iRacing
Yeah, I was going to say, that'd be up your street, wouldn't it?
We've been doing some iRacing events recently, and I've actually got a bit of a back injury today, and such a stupid back injury.
So you managed to get a back injury on iRacing?
On iRacing.
How did you manage to get a back
injury? My only comfy chair was on wheels, so I decided to abandon that and use a fold-out picnic table chair, which was fine, and then when I went to get up at the end of the evening, I went, and I realised that I'd crooked it.
What was it, 4-hour endurance race or something?
No, we were doing heats. My endurance is that poor that 3 10-minute races did for me. But anyway, I'm sure Kevin is better at iRacing than I am. And then there's another name I don't recognise here as well. You might have to pronounce that for me, I think.
Give it a go.
No. Okay, fine.
Shetchel will do.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
That's exactly. That'll again. He will respond. That's about as close as us Brits are going to get to doing it right.
I mean, to the uninformed Brit, it looks like a tracking number, doesn't it? But Jetchil, and I will try my best. Please feel free.
That's probably on the money, to be fair.
To come and correct me.
No, that's probably pretty good.
Yeah, I've been working on it after all the offence I caused last year. But yeah, it's going to be hard to live up to the previous heat. But I think what we might see here is a little bit more unpredictability. So in the last heat, there was 10 guys there who we are very familiar with, racing at the very highest level, competing in the semi-finals and finals, and we felt like we had a real good idea of how it was going to shake out. I'm not saying predictable, but we know these guys, don't we? Whereas I think this heat is going to be much more open, and this is the chance for someone unexpected to shine.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is that, okay, Ruben Boutens isn't in it, Michael Schottler isn't in it, but these are actually people who would ordinarily you'd expect to be racing each other regardless.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's going to be tight between Piscors, Marsh, Drasga, you know, people like this. So I think it's going to be a tough race, albeit without some of the names people would say with the absolute finalists.
So how have you guys found the new layout? This is a brand new layout.
Well, it's actually similar to the 2015 alternate layout.
Right.
So some people have got a bit of an idea, some people haven't. It's lended itself really to later pit stops, I think. You know, Jamie Henderson was talking, obviously he's competing in it, and that's why he's disappeared to go and get ready. But
so it gives you the inside line as you come out of the pits.
Sort of, but more importantly, nobody really is that familiar with the layout. So there's sort of not wanting to pit away, just in case they're still learning from the guy in front, you know, because everyone's at a very high standard, so people are sort of picking up little bits here and there, and can't really afford the risk of being left alone, you know, all at sea, if you like.
So I've noticed that obviously coming here in the middle of the second round of heats, there are still people struggling to get to grips with the pit stop. So there's some people who are only doing it for like the third or fourth time ever, and there's a lot of I'm going little lift, and then they've lost crucially.
But they're not the ones getting the penalties.
No,
the ones getting the penalties, the ones who should know better. You know, I mean. In the first round, we had a raft. At least half of the heat races had somewhere a pit lane infringement in it, and it wasn't to someone we've never heard of. It's to all the well, to be honest, the usual offenders.
Well, I mean, Pinero went in there. It looked like an amazing pit stop, but he had gone like
just a fraction,
full hell for leather to go in there. But what I'm seeing from down there is people like going for it and then realising it's as they start creeping forward. and there's no hint of the green light, and it's not where they expected it to be, then they have to gamble and come off. And you can see.
And that's when it's going to go green, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. It's a very tough one. They don't want to break it, but they don't want to give anything away. And of course, the standard this year in the competition, as every year, it keeps improving. Everyone gets better.
Everyone's a champion of something.
Yeah, they are. And that means that you can't really do anything except a brilliant pit stop because you know everyone else will have done. So it's you're kind of on a little bit on the back foot from that point of view. But certainly, there's a whole bunch of names that we've never seen before that we don't really know anything about. Say like Marco Brem, for instance, Matt Stark. These are new people, but again, they come backed up with
the house Stark.
Yeah,
so
with,
I know him,
with decent credentials, and then old favourites like Robin Kissam and Emwell Brule-Smith.
Interesting. So, any early favourites for you propping up, or I tell you what, is there anybody now who you'd expect to be finals, semi-finals that is maybe on the bubble and needs a good performance?
It's very early to say, but there are some people who, you know, Michael Schuttler, the world champion, obviously he's never been here before, but he probably is going to be
seems to have the hang of it.
Concerned that, you know, not to be winning everything. Selena Balnega, the multiple women's world champion, is one of the few who's managed to bag 2 wins. So she's managed to win twice. That, as you know, is a huge amount of points. So that's probably a more certain. That's off the bubble, isn't it? You know, Ruben Bouton's got a win and a third. So you know, he's by his standards, that's going to be a third. Yeah, on merit as well. It wasn't like anything. He was really
we might have to
taking to the edge
reset
there.
him.
Well,
Robotins.
You know what happens anytime you discount Ruben Boutons. It tends to be the wrong thing to do, and he comes back with the result.
Ask him if he had emotions earlier. Did I
He
dream
did. He
that?
was talking something about emotions. Ruben claimed he did have, and then went deadpan in the rest of the interview. So
Yes, I do have emotions. I also have emotions.
Yeah, thing is, he's able to keep them in check and do the winning, isn't he? Even when it's stacked against him. So I think really, with everyone feeling that the point score for the finals can be very low, pressure's on right the way through, and they've just got to get it done.
I think it's interesting to see how early people start getting aggressive, because generally people start getting fighty. I mean, watching Ruben's last year, he wasn't making overly aggressive moves. He was really relying on his pace.
Yeah.
He had enough pace in a lot of the heats to really make the pit stops count.
Yeah.
When it got to semi-finals, finals, especially the final, he got really aggressive down into the hairpin. You might find that people need to get aggressive earlier now.
Well, I think that could be the case. I mean, for those watching at home, we're talking about 6 times British champion Ruben Boutons here. He's looking for a 7th consecutive title here at Formula Fast in Milton Keynes. And to be honest, Spanners, to answer your question properly, those who watched the whole event so far will be able to tell you that the second heat race, Ruben Boutons relied on pure speed on pole, get advantage, make the pit stop, stayed in the lead. In the first race was complete opposite, and he actually had a massive fight in his hand. He had to fight throughout. It was not pace related; it was fight related.
Blood and sands in round two.
We've seen him have to operate in 2 different ways, and it's really been quite a test. But it's Ruben Boutons. If anybody can pull this off, we know that he can. So we'll see what's what.
Nice guy, great champion.
Yep.
So it's wrong to say we hope that he will not win, but you are hoping for him to be pushed like all the way. Like last year, he really was pushed all the way to the end of the competition.
Well, he always manages to win without it being that clear. You know, he's always got to tackle somebody. It's not like he just stands head and shoulders above the field regardless. There's always a major challenge from somebody, you know, and that really is what makes it. But the interesting thing with him is it's always a different challenge every year. This time, you know, goodness knows where the challenge could come from. I think we'll need to get into the semi-finals before we know exactly what it is. But
I was just having a little flick ahead there. To
yeah,
the
you
heat
can,
after
because
the
that
one
is
we've been
another
talking
worrying
about.
heat for a lot of people.
Yeah, look at that. So you got Raikkonen in there.
Sebastian.
My Facebook friend.
Yes.
So that's why if you're my Facebook friend, Richard Reddy on Facebook, I'm more complimentary about you in the commentary because
Very
we're friends then, aren't we?
Does that include Sean Briley?
I like to show bias. Check my Facebook list.
Yeah.
My Facebook account got taken off because they didn't think Spanners was a real name.
Did they not?
Unbelievable.
Gosh. I
No.
wonder
So I've
why
had
they
to go
didn't
for
think
my corporate slave name, which is Richard Reddy.
Yeah.
So do go and add me on there. Dante Dillon commentated a lot on Dante in the D-Max.
Yeah.
He's not one to die without trying.
He's very good. I mean, we saw him give up effectively a place last year for the sake of his teammate.
Oh, of course,
if you remember.
he did, yes. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, Brandon Williams, wasn't it? He actually waved him through, and that allowed Brandon the chance to progress. But Dante's been very fast. He was among the quickest in the testing. So, I think we're seeing lots of progression by him, and it's as far as going to be. But he's somebody who's so light. He's adding 30 kilos to the cart. That's a huge amount to get up to 90 kilos weight
I'm in
limit.
the same boat. It does change the ballast when you have to add that much weight to the cart just to get up to
But that's when it's weighted to 120 kilos.
Yeah, all right.
Dante's doing it for 90.
I've had a very good Christmas, James.
Excellent.
All holiday weight.
Dennis Huller, second in the World Championship.
Another German?
Yeah.
Okay, well, he's got a lot of letters here. Look, I'll read them out. Look, it's very impressive. KWC. So vice world champion.
That means he's second.
Okay, so that's the thing now. Everyone's agreed that vice world champion.
It was in America.
I would just say second in the world championship.
That's what I would do, but remember it was in the
going for.
USA. That's the phrase.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vice world champion. It's a thing for now. Team champion as well in the Kart World Championship. So that's a very impressive CV.
And that was all in the same year, wasn't it? 2019. And Nations Cup. He went to the States and did pretty well, didn't he?
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it. I didn't catch it myself. I'll have to catch it on a replay.
Well, you don't need to, because it's all right there.
How's he done so far? How's he done so far?
He's done all right. So if I have a look at my sort of list of results, Huller, he was second. He was second last time we saw him. He's done one race so far this morning, and in which case he came second, which ties in nicely with his World Championship position, doesn't it?
Well, there we go. Yeah.
So
who's your pick there then? So he's got to be in the running for it.
Well, do you know what? Dark horse, Mats de Jong.
Okay.
Ballistically fast, not been around for a while, but was on top of the world scene. So
he's
quite a few years ago.
no vice champion though, is he?
No, but,
only fourth.
Yeah,
only fourth in the International Kart World Championships.
Yes, and look how long ago they were.
Oh, 10 years ago. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Where did you come? You used to race in those kind of things.
Well,
didn't you?
where is he? Has he got one from?
When did you stop racing?
Well, I'm still racing, but different things, not in karts. Now I talk rather than drive.
Okay.
So yeah, but certainly Mats de Jong, I remember racing with him both times I was in the World Championship, which was 2011 and 2012, and yes, I lost to him. It looks like they're starting the weigh-in now, Spanners. So.
So are you trying to get your way of telling me I need to get out?
You might want to think about heading on down soon. So it's been nice seeing you on the screen here, but we'll be seeing you on the screen down there. So that was Spanners ready. He's obviously co-commentating. He's going to be commentating from down in the pit lane. My name's James Hull. I'll be commentating up here. Going to be focusing more on the screen, what we see for those people viewing at home rather than the people already here. We were looking ahead a little bit further, but in this heat race, it's Alex Van Gien versus Kevin Gelly-Rafat, Slavik Piskors, Robert Schechel, Marco Brem, Matthew Stark, Conor Marsh, who we saw really doing very well earlier on, Remy Drazga, the organiser of the Polish Championship, Robin Kassam and Anwar Barul-Smith, who we saw win earlier on today. Very good result by Anwar Barul-Smith. They're down getting weighed in as we speak, and so looking out the window there, they're sort of gathering around. The carts have been fueled, they've been checked over, and they're going to be allocated now. So what we can expect from this race, well, it's hard to look beyond Anwar Barul-Smith for the win, simply because we know he's so strong. But if the challenge comes, it's going to come from the likes of Conor Marsh, Remy Drazga, Slavik Piskors, who've seen win, and it could well be another name in the mix. There's been quite a few changes so far this year, and we'll wait and see what happens. But looking out the window there, I can see that Spanners, of course, making his way down, and the drivers are starting to move out. You can see, if we can get a picture down in the pit lane on the screen, the seat insert I've been talking about there. We have somebody carrying that seat, and they've got to weigh in with that seat there. If we have a look, there's Anwar Barul-Smith. He's got his helmet in his hand. He's going to put his helmet on. He may or may not have already been through the weight check. I'm not sure if he's actually adding much to the weight of the cart. But if we look down in the lineup there, amongst the drivers, there's Alex Van Gien that Spanners was talking about in the blue and white. We saw a great performance by him earlier on. Alex Van Gien we've seen at the front, in the middle. Now there's a driver getting onto the stand there. You can see he's holding the seat. The driver plus seat plus helmet, all kitted up, needs to be 90 kilos. That's Robin Kassam there. We saw just weighing in. Kassam particularly will be adding some weight in that seat insert. It's loaded up, and that seat insert will slot into the seat that's already in the cart. And that's how the whole thing works out. They're getting ready. We've got, not sure what the given start time is, but certainly they're starting to get ready. See everyone's helmet up. Alex Van Gien there, his helmet up. They've made their draws for the carts. The new little screen on the steering wheel itself for this year. You saw the marshal there just double check one was switched on. He's probably going to move down the line. Yeah, they do, and they give out quite a lot of information, but Lewis Manley says he doesn't use his at all, whereas Jamie Henderson said it was a great help. So probably quite a variety of levels of commitment to that new screen. I think it gives you pretty much everything. Go and have a look at one.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see if I can sneak and have a look at one if I get told off.
Yeah.
It looks like it's got lap time on there. And yeah, look, oh gosh, it's got gaps as well.
Talk us through it.
It's got position on the left, so it tells you what position you're in, your last lap time, and it looks like it's got the gap to the place in front, the gap to the place behind, and it gives you your delta to the previous lap, if I'm reading that right. That's incredible. Massive well done to Formula Fast for putting that on.
How visible do you think it'll be? I mean, what would you be looking at that screen
I
when you were
would
driving
be
around?
looking at a kart in front of me disappearing lap after lap after lap. But on the display, yeah, I think for me it's the consistency of lap times and watching the gaps, the relevant gap behind or in front. When you don't have that, you can't instantly tell, you know, am I doing things correctly in the corners? Obviously, at the top level, they know what they're doing. But for me personally, yeah, you go, oh, have I been consistent?
Of course, they have different colours for whether it's a better lap or a worse lap. So even just going off what colour's shining up at you gives you a bit of an indication of how things are going.
Okay, so we've got actually a shot here on one of the displays, and I'm leaning over, so we've got the lap time here. We can indicate their position, the gap to the car in front, the gap to the car behind, and that says that is the delta, I believe, to the last lap.
Well, that's very interesting, and that's going to be a great thing to see. That's pretty visible, isn't it? And as you cross the line, obviously that's going to update, but it's going to stay on throughout the lap, so people will probably have their own favourite places to have a little look, particularly whether they're in a battle or not. We can see there, as Spanner was pointing out. Spanner, do you want to talk us through it again?
Oh, have we got a camera shot on it now?
Yep.
Okay, shall I point at things?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll point at things. Okay, so we've got the lap time here at the front. It gives you your position, and they can see the deltas to the car in front and the karts behind, and deltas to the previous laps as well. So really have got so much more information, and obviously I've been stopping a driver getting into his kart, so I'm going to drift out of the way there.
And
yeah,
that driver, of course, is Conor Marsh, and what a performance we saw from Conor Marsh earlier on. He was the one who was the kind of hero of the early stop strategy. He's the first one to make it work properly today, and everyone kind of followed suit from there. As soon as anybody was slightly out of what they considered their position, they were jumping in the pits. Conor Marsh really made huge gains earlier on, as we all saw on the screen. Spanners, it looks like they're pretty much ready to go. There's a few left to get in. They're all through the weight check, aren't they? Is that Alex Van Gien on the ground praying?
No, I don't believe his religion requires him to pray before every race, maybe just the afternoon ones.
Some would say his skill, Mike.
I'm not going to say a bad word against him as much as you goad me and as much as I owe him revenge for previous commentary incidents.
Well, the interesting thing there with Alex Van Gien, we were talking about, we can see he's just getting in. He's in the, as you're looking on screen there, folks, Alex Van Gien is the 10th British Rental Kart Championship, and Alex Van Gien has been in nearly every single event. So he's right from the original days there. And Alex Van Gien, very much a favourite here, and very well known by everybody. And he, over the years, it's been quite interesting. He's gone nearer the front, he's dropped near the tail, and now this weekend he seems to be running quite solid midfield, and I think he's capable of getting to the front should the situation allow. There he is, Alex Van Gien.
I think, and I don't want to be unkind, but I think he's had a worse result in every subsequent championship, but he is on better form right now than he has been for the last previous years.
He is. Can you get a quick word with him, Spanners?
Oh, I don't know. Will I be allowed? Look, I think I'm going to get told off if I do that.
Just stick your microphone in.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see if I can do that quickly. Van Gien, Alex Van Gien. Good luck for this race. How do you think you're going to do?
Well, they'll be all right. Top 4, top 5 will be great.
Good luck, buddy. Good luck, buddy. Go kill it. He says top 4, top 5 will be all right with him.
Well, that'll be great. That'll be all right with all of us. And looking behind him, that looks like the very easy to spot overalls by Slavik Piskor's there.
Look at those.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty... You're not going to miss him out on the track, are you? And then Robin Kassam behind him. And is that Anwar Burrell-Smith behind Kassam?
It certainly is, in the number 17 kart. That is Anwar there with the black, with the... What are we calling that? Teal trim?
Yeah, that's a good description. That's probably the right colour. We saw him win earlier on, and I bet he's planning to win again. There's Robin Kassam that we can see a close-up on now. We saw him actually really getting racy earlier on. It was quite a performance by Robin.
I'm going to wave at him as my friend. Hey, Robin. he's not waving back. He's taking it very seriously.
And there, of course, is Anwar Barul Smith. Certainly very strong performance earlier on. Got to be one of the favourites. And Conor Marsh behind him, another one favourite to win here in this heat number 6 of round 2. On out. Now we're getting underway. We're still on the revised format and heading out onto the track and beginning the warm-up lap, and the qualifying lap follows this. Now, first one to come through obviously is about to start his qualifying lap. In this case, it's the number 19, and that is, we've got Matthew Stark, and Alex Van Gien follows him across the line. So they're on their qualifiers now, and Matthew Stark leads the way, Alex Van Gien second. You heard Alex Van Gien saying 4th or 5th will do for him. He'll be very pleased with that. I think that's game on in this race for him. Anwar Barul Smith has gone through to start his lap. So has Remy Drazga. And Conor Marsh. And Marco Brem too. Nearly everyone's out there. It's Shechel and Kevin Gelly-Ruffat there are yet to start their times, which they're beginning now. And they're all on their qualifier. And in fact, there goes Stark. Stark sets his lap time. Here comes Van Gien, Alex Van Gien. And Van Gien has moved up. Well, he's 3rd place at the moment. And the times are coming in. Piscourse and Robin Kassam's gone second. Anwar Barul Smith to 2nd place. It's still Stark who's 1st. This is incredible. Conor Marsh gone 3rd. Remy Drazga to 4th. Brame, the German, into 5th. And we're still waiting for a couple of other drivers to come in. And, yep. And Schecheler, is that him? Yes, he's come through into 10th place. So Matthew Stark, incredibly, relatively unknown driver. He, of course, was the absolutely karting lightweight champion last year. So he does have a championship to his name, but not somebody we've seen here in the British Rental Kart Championship. He has only gone and put it on pole position ahead of the likes of Anwar Barul Smith and Conor Marsh.
Well,
incredible.
The team name is Bandits, West Bandits. So that is probably a good description of what he's doing to us.
Absolutely, and well, if ever there was one who is a local bandit on nearly every track you could think of, it is Anwar Barul Smith. He has so much experience, but he's been out of karting for a little while, and he's qualified 2nd. He would be happy with that, but it's a bit of a surprise to see it's Matthew Stark who starts in pole position. I think it'll be a bit of a surprise to him too. We've not seen him start anything like that kind of level up the field so far, but we'll see what happens when the race starts. Certainly Anwar Barul Smith, I think, will be pretty keen to depose him of that as early as possible, and of course, for that matter, so will Conor Marsh.
So some of the names we were talking about, Van Gien, 8/10 off the lead, so you'd think he hasn't quite nailed that lap one as well, and Kazam just starting just in front of him as well, so there'll definitely be a good midfield scrap. They haven't out-qualified himself this time, as Van Gien said in the last round, so interesting to see him possibly hunting this time. Yeah, well, Van Gien was thinking he aiming for 4th or 5th. That means he's got to actually move forward now. It's not. I was actually, to be fair, I was expecting him to qualify there, if I'm honest. But he's a little bit further down than what I thought, probably what he thought. Slavik Piscourse is probably the one most out of place there in 8th place. Slavik Piscourse, naturally, we've seen him win BRKC heat races before more than once. He's languishing down there in 8th. But really, that's going to be pretty strong over 2nd place, isn't it? Anwar Barul Smith, Conor Marsh, Remy Drazga. These are serious contenders, Spanners. Yeah, well, to put it this way, look at the rear end of this heat. They're not mugs, are they? So it's going to be really interesting and fun watching them fight through. Yeah, there's not a single mug in the place, and certainly Piscourse and Van Gien are more than capable of making progress forward in this race. Marco Brame's going to be interesting to watch in 5th place. He's not somebody we know at all, but like everybody, he comes armed with his own championship credentials from from previous events. Not in the BRKC though, so a new one for us. Now it looks like they're pretty much in position. We're just waiting for the marshals to get things rolling. It looks like maybe somebody's had a switch of carts. Was there anything going on in the pit lane, Spanners? I didn't see that, but it's let's have a look as they roll back through. So it's the 21 plated Schizgel. Yeah, Robert Schechel. He's actually qualified 10th and last, and it looks like he's opting for a switch of cart. Now, this is interesting because what he gets into is going to be absolutely stone cold. However,
the penalty for that isn't as serious if it was a regular heat, which is naturally follow-on. Because remember, they have been fueled up, so pretty much everything is cold. But Robert Schechel, he does have the option to switch. Spanners, we've got some news.
Well, not news, but if this was me and I was having to switch karts onto some cold tyres, I would be taking my time, leaving the guys on the grid there to cool down as well, because obviously there's nothing the guys can do lining up to get their tyres sorted. So if I was him, if I was Robert, I wouldn't. Sorry, Remy. No, beg your pardon. Start again, Robert. I was right the first time, James. Why did you correct me? I would be taking my time, and it looks like he is.
Yeah, he's. There's obviously some. He does